It's like a different franchise of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
But
So that's disconnected. We're not going to do 2 more right now.
No.
So
just like we won't do like 20 X-Men movies in a row.
correct.
Even though that might be fun.
No. I don't think 20 of anything in a row is fun. So before we get started properly, I always forget we are on Twitch. We live stream these episodes as we record them. So a perk of being on Twitch watching this is that we take breaks. We talk about what we're doing, what we're drinking, what we've done, what Kaya, the dog, is doing. We also mess up a lot. So keep that in mind. That's stuff that gets polished and edited later. So if you join us on Twitch, we might burp.
Yeah.
We might stop, have dinner. So that's just kind of part of the process.
Stumble over our words a few times.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you enjoy these episodes and you want to be a part of them, you want to talk to us while we're recording it, maybe that makes it into the final episode. That's how you do it. It's twitch.tv/filmsfrompz. Anyway, cool. Let's get right into it. Berto, what movie are we watching today?
Dragonball Evolution.
Also, this is interesting. We had a set of rules on how we pick what movie we're watching, right?
Right.
It had to be, number 1, a comic book superhero movie. Number 2, it had to be a failed franchise, and we defined one of those as like one that's out of business. Basically, they're not making any more of them. Someone said, no more. Like, we're done.
No. Yeah.
And number 3 is if the reason why they're not making any more of them is because they ended on their own terms. They wanted to make 3 movies, and they successfully made 3 movies, or they set out to just make 1 movie, and they're like, we have no intention of making a sequel. Then that's a success.
Right.
Right. They didn't get canceled, basically.
What if it's like a commercial failure?
Well, most of those never intend on making 1 movie, though. You know what I mean?
Should they always have like sequel bait at the end? Or,
yeah, like this.
There's a post-credit scene.
Exactly. So I basically made a list, and I was like, all right, English language movies based on comic books, right? That list that I found was American comic books. So it left out English language movies based on any other comic book, like Japanese mangas, right? I'm the guy that knows very little about anime and manga, anime, whatever.
However
so
it's pronounced.
I'm sorry, this is not what we do here.
Mispronunciations are not intentional.
This isn't who we are. But we do watch a lot of movies, though. So having said that, we looked through all of those, and there's like 15 more movies we can do that are English language, because I don't really want to sit through like subtitles, and there's a lot of shit that gets made in other countries based on comics. I don't want to do any of that. So English language, there's a couple on like an Italian comic, which was like Dylan Dog. There's also like 6 or 7 or so anime-based English language movies, and that's where we are here. Yeah, basically.
It's anime, manga, like it's
originally
like a comic,
it's
so
a comic
it falls
book.
into our category.
Yeah. So yeah, if you don't know, a manga is a Japanese comic book,
and you read it from right to left.
Right, because they translate just the words, not the way that they read right to left. Although I've read some where they go through the painstaking process of like flipping it all.
Ooh, that's gotta be pain.
Yeah. Someone just sitting there with like an editor, just fuck. And then an anime is a Japanese cartoon.
Yeah.
It's really all there is to it. People will break down like all the different things that make an anime, but usually it's just cultural things. Like for them, it's just animation.
Yeah.
From our point of view, it's like, oh yeah, usually they have these attributes, but that's just a product
from them. It's just like,
culture.
it's just cartoons that we made.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Dragon Ball Evolution, it's the movie that's kind of not that well known. It was very quickly forgotten about. It was already put in the Phantom Zone before we ever came close to it.
And like the people that do know it as a terrible movie.
Right.
That should be forgotten, or should it? It should. But
or should it? Let's keep them in suspense, man. What are you doing?
Or should it?
Real quick, I thought we could do a background on Dragon Ball for those that don't know. If you don't know what Dragon Ball is, it is likely because you are not a boy
that grew up in the 90s.
That grew up in middle school around the mid-2000s.
Mid-2000s, late 90s too.
When the second dub of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z was coming out here in the States. Yeah. That's when it got really exploded in popularity.
Well, that's when we started getting all the video games, all the everything, the TV movies on Toonami.
Oh, yeah. But specifically, you basically had to be a boy. This is not tailored for girls.
No.
At all.
Definitely not.
And that's kind of interesting that maybe it's a Japanese thing, because here in the States, like, our cartoons, they at least try. Like, things that are very boyish, like Transformers or like G.I. Joe, they'll insert some female characters and they'll kind of try to sell a toy there to like a girl. But for the most part, like I watched some Dragon Ball and I'm like, none of this.
No, they throw in female characters to be like sex objects.
Absolutely.
And is that a cultural thing?
I think they're just more...
Or is it a product of the times?
So I was reading a little bit about Dragon Ball. It is the best-selling manga series in history.
Oh, I believe that, actually.
And I read something else that I don't know if I'm going to find here.
Is it that it's based on like the Journey to the West?
Yeah.
Loosely.
Very loosely.
Yeah.
Which is a Chinese kind of folk tale.
Like a mythology type thing.
About the Monkey King. With a monkey tail, and he has a staff and a magic cloud that he flies.
Yeah. There's actually been a lot of like media that's basically interpreted that story into something else.
Yeah, actually the same year this movie came out, there was a movie called The Forbidden Kingdom. And it's
with Jackie Chan and
Jet Li.
Jet Li, yes.
It's a mythological kung fu flick that was pretty good. I saw it.
It's a fun movie. It's a little cheesy at times, but
I mean, compared to this, like compared to what? Dragon Ball is also one of, I mean, this doesn't really mean anything. It says it's one of the highest grossing media franchises of all time. Sure, but I mean, like, in what?
Well, that's taking into...
It says one of. So you've got, like, Marvel, Batman, Pokemon, Harry Potter, Pokemon.
Pokemon might be the highest.
Yeah.
Actually.
There's a lot of home media. This movie, which...
Yeah, there's home media, there's video games.
There's video games, there's action figures.
Yeah.
All kinds of shit, right? So... The manga Dragon Ball is from 1984, and then the TV show, the anime, started, I think, in 86. Yeah, 86.
Oh, they wasted no time adapting that.
So that's another thing about anime, is that a lot of times they're very closely adapting the source material. And so much so that you could call them both the source material. It's almost like a novelization. Like, that's how close they are.
There are a few instances where, like, say the anime gets ahead, so they have to start either create a bunch of, like, filler arcs, which a lot of people hate, or they kind of
slow it down.
Yeah. Or they change the story. Full Metal Alchemist actually did that, where there's an original series just called Full Metal Alchemist, and it got ahead of the manga. If someone wants to correct me, feel free. They got ahead, and they basically changed the story. After the manga finished, they released a new anime series of Full Metal Alchemist called Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood that more closely follows the source material. So there's a few instances where the anime is not like a direct adaptation.
Yeah.
But I think it's safe to say most of the time it is.
In Dragon Ball, it's very close. It's like 1-to-1 most of the time. The problem with Dragon Ball Z is that it got ahead of the comic, of the manga.
Yeah.
And a lot of people's like chief complaints about Dragon Ball Z is that there are times where they spend an entire episode just kind of like screaming at each other, quote unquote,
or monologuing in their heads.
Yeah, and it does take a lot of time, to the point where they remastered the series in like 2/3 of the episodes because they cut all that stuff down.
It's called like Dragon Ball Z Kai?
It's called Dragon Ball Kai.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people will say if you want to rewatch Dragon Ball Z, that's kind of the way to do it.
But otherwise, if you're going to watch it for the first time, watch the original.
I don't know. Most people will say watch Dragon Ball Z Kai, or Dragon Ball Kai, sorry. Mm-hmm. And then if you want those filler episodes, go find them. Because some of the filler episodes are fun. They're just kind of like...
Sometimes I like filler because sometimes it actually fills in some backstory for characters and stuff.
Sure, and it's kind of a nice distraction.
Yeah.
Like, it breaks up a lot of, like, the crazy
that way it's not too fast-paced, because those plots, like, if you cut out, like, the parts where they're just sitting there screaming at each other, they move at, like, a breakneck pace.
Well, we're going to kind of get to it, because I did want to talk a little bit about what this movie is sort of based on, which is kind of an arc in Dragon Ball. Mm. Something that we didn't mention, Dragon Ball Evolution, this film from 2009, is not really available anywhere. It's been buried pretty well. I rented it for like $2.99, I think.
I was looking through my digital library, and turns out I already owned it.
What a loser.
I don't know why.
Okay. You're secret fan over here.
No, I don't like this movie. Spoiler.
This is one of those things where, like, if you really like the source material, you kind of have to. You have to see it. You know what I mean? It's
like I had to watch Last Airbender.
Yeah, there's gonna be there's gonna be a lot of parallels, I think, between these two. I hate it too, but you kind of have to watch it if you're a fan.
And it's unfortunate that we can't talk about that movie on this podcast.
It's not based on a comic, yeah.
No,
it's based on a cartoon.
Maybe a bonus episode.
Maybe that's coming. But hey, guys, if you want to watch the film and then listen to us kind of talk about it, hey, you can do that. So, just to finish up what we were talking about, Dragon Ball, the series. Or the manga, the whole thing is just called Dragon Ball. It got broken down into two series, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball follows the story of a young boy named Goku. He is canonically probably like 11. It's hard to find.
I think he's 16, but he looks like he's a little boy.
So
right?
there are some points where I can tell you what his age is. So I think by the beginning he's about 11, and Bulma is about like 16.
Okay.
So it's a little boy named Goku. He's raised by his grandfather named Gohan. But by the time we meet him, he lives alone because his grandfather died. He lives alone in the woods. Kind of an older girl named Bulma finds him. She's looking for Dragon Balls. They run into each other. He's never seen a girl before in his life. He's only ever seen his grandpa. And he's just kind of this cute, innocent, happy boy who's trained to fight and is unnaturally strong, right? She wants to find the Dragon Balls, and he thinks he has one of them. He thinks that's his grandfather because it's the last thing he has of his grandfather's. Right. And they decide to go on an adventure together to find the rest of the Dragon Balls because she tells him that by uniting all 7 Dragon Balls, you get to make a wish. So they go on this kind of huge, sprawling adventure. They meet a ton of characters along the way. And then he starts training to be a martial artist more properly with Master Roshi, the pervy turtle hermit.
Very much a perv.
At some points, they join the World Martial Arts Tournament, which happens every 3 years, I think. Okay. So they fight in this tournament, even though they're clearly like the best, but it also attracts like some villains that want to find like the best fighters also. To that point, you're about his age. By like the second or third tournament, he still is drawn the same, but he is canonically 15.
Okay.
They mention. By the time that he's fighting Piccolo, who is the main antagonist of this film
and of this series, right? Or he's one of
like season 4, dude.
Okay.
They do 5 seasons in this movie. It's crazy. So by the time we meet Piccolo, he's 15, and then Piccolo dies. Spoiler. He actually lays an egg and creates an offspring of himself, right?
Named Piccolo.
Also named Piccolo. Or they call him Piccolo Jr. at first. So Goku goes to train for 3 years, knowing that Piccolo's going to show up one day. There's a 3-year time jump, and then he's drawn as like an adult because he's 18.
It's he like he hits puberty, like he hits puberty and like goes through it in like a second.
It's funny because in the show they comment on his growth spurt.
Yeah.
Because like
all of a sudden he looks like a grown man.
Yeah, like he's tall and played by a different actor and everything.
And he looks like the Goku that everybody pictures when they see Goku at this point.
He looks like the Dragon Ball Z Goku.
Yeah.
So by that point, he's canonically 18 when he meets Chi-Chi, and then they get married, and then Dragon Ball Z starts after that point. So he's still pretty young around Dragon Ball Z. And we're going to get a little bit more about what happens in the source material with Piccolo, because it's a lot. You know, and I think one of the things that makes Dragon Ball really good is that they really take their time developing like these big sagas, these like chunks of episodes.
That's how most anime are.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Because there's so many little nuances along the way. Whereas in this, it's just kind of like we're going to squeeze it all into one movie.
A very short movie, too.
And Piccolo's really not going to have a lot of screen time. And, oh, well. Like, did you watch any Dragon Ball?
When I was younger.
Or recently?
Not recently.
I just watched 3 episodes and I thought I was going to like it a lot less. And 3 episodes in, I'm like, this is a lot of fun. I kind of want to keep watching. And not like last time when I said, I'm going to watch all these Ninja Turtle cartoons, and I didn't really.
Right.
Like, I might actually watch more Dragon Ball.
Well, Dragon Ball, first off, is still ongoing to this day.
It is. They made a new series after like 2 decades.
Quite a hiatus there, but it is still an ongoing story. But the original series, it's like timeless, classic, like adventure stories.
Yeah.
It feels like.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of specific things in it that might not have aged well, mostly from like a politically correct standpoint.
Yep.
But the story itself, there's a lot of solid stuff in there.
Oh yeah,
and there's a reason why so many people love it.
So specifically, there's a couple really pervy things in the first few episodes, and if I want to get
almost
into it,
like immediately,
right off the bat, episode 1, you see Goku's penis a lot. There was a little bit of controversy about like the little bit of nudity in this show that is kind of like probably for kids. And then the creators were basically like, we don't want to censor Goku because Americans are less comfortable with nudity and have to like see it as a sexual thing. No, when for us, it's just like
he's like an innocent little boy running around.
Exactly. Like it doesn't matter. And it's maybe kind of funny for them to like just, you know, that his little dick is out for 2 episodes basically.
Yeah.
But then later on, there's a part where Bulma is like giving him a bath, which is also super innocent enough because he's a little boy and she's more of an closer to like a grown adult.
Right.
And he doesn't know how to bathe himself because he's just been living in the woods this whole time. And so she helps him out, and they kind of have some jokes there, but it's not weird or pervy or anything like that. It's later that he tries to like sleep in bed with her. Again, not in a weird way. He's just like, it's comfortable up there. Right. He doesn't know these kind of customs or whatever. And then he like lays on top of her and is like, that's weird. He's expecting her to have like balls. And like a penis. And so he just like takes her panties off and is mortified by the fact that she doesn't have balls.
Right.
And he goes, you don't have any balls. And she just assumes that someone stole the Dragon Balls.
So she starts freaking out.
And then so...
It's a funny situation.
Well, it gets weirder because then after that, she never changes out of her pajamas, which is kind of like a long t-shirt type situation. Yeah. And she's unaware that she's not wearing panties at this point. And then they meet Master Roshi, who we see in this movie, and he's kind of like a pervy character. And basically, he has a Dragon Ball, and she's like, well, can I have that Dragon Ball? What would you want in return? And she goes, taking advantage of his pervy nature, she's like, all right, what if I flash you my panties? Then you'll give me the Dragon Ball, right?
And he's like, all right.
He's like, all right, sure, why not? And she goes to like pull her shirt up, completely unaware that her panties have been unremoved, and just like, flashes him her vagina at probably 15 years old.
Yeah.
And it's just a hilarious gag in this show. And later on, she realizes what she's done. Now, in fairness, there's like no more humor. Like there's a few
more.
So later on, there's a gag
in the bunny outfit.
Yeah, where she there's another pervy character, and she needs like a change of clothes, and he's like, "This is all I got," and it's like a Playboy bunny outfit, and so they put her in that for like 4 episodes.
Yeah, and then there's another part where they're fighting in the tournament, and Gohan's fighting an invisible guy, and like they're all watching, like Master Roshi's like in the stands watching. So Krillin pulls down Bulma's shirt to expose her boobs. So Master Roshi nosebleeds on the invisible guy, so Goku can see him.
That's a lot.
And kick his ass.
That's a bit of a stretch, probably. Oh no, Kyle, we're not playing, honey.
I'm 100% certain that the writer is a bit perverted, but
and here's the thing, though. We have to also look at this through a couple of filters, I guess. On the one hand, this might be a product of its time, and in the 80s, even in the States, we thought different things were funny.
That's true.
But also there's a cultural divide here. Like,
they're a lot more comfortable with sex,
and they think it's funnier than we do by a lot. They think like sexual perversions are hilarious over there. And I'm not saying they're perverted. I'm saying that's what they find funny. Like we find poop humor to be funnier. And
or violence for some reason.
Or gross violence. Yeah, exactly.
Mortal Kombat.
Where they think it's kind of sexual perversion that's just the funniest thing in the world. Yeah. Right? So there's a couple things there. So it's hard for us to make any judgments on like what's inappropriate, what's not okay, and what's gross and pervy. And you kind of have to like take it with a grain of salt, basically.
Yeah.
There's little of that in this movie, though. So.
Well, yeah, this is is it PG or PG-13? This movie is very light on the
violence.
Very light on the violence and very light on the sexual content. So.
Yeah. It's very light on the Dragon Ball. Let's just say that.
It's very light on everything.
It's very light on the source material. Anyway, let's just get right into the plot. Gohan, in a voiceover, explains that in a time before many could remember, Piccolo came to Earth with his disciple Uzaru and lay waste to the Earth until a group of warriors casted an enchantment to imprison him. Uzaru was never seen again. So this is how you piss off your fans, like, within seconds, is that you, like, rewrite the entire
origin
lore of Dragon Ball.
Yeah, it's just different.
And for almost no sake,
There's enough similarities to where you're like, hey, I kind of remember that, but it's also different enough to where, like, that's not right.
For someone who's never seen Dragon Ball, there's a huge spoiler in the first 3 seconds, and it's this character that is now named Uzaru, which is the Great Ape, is what they call it.
Yeah.
Which is what Goku transforms. Goku and other members of his race, the Saiyans, because he's an alien, he just doesn't know it right now, are like werewolves, basically. And in a full moon, instead of turning into a wolf, they turn into like this King Kong-sized monster.
Is it like a full moon, or is it like a certain... Because if it was full moon, it'd be like every month they'd be turning into like a giant...
it happens every month.
Okay.
Yeah, in the anime. He has to look at the full moon.
I'm remembering it now.
So as long as he stays in that night, he's fine.
But if he looks up at the moon, he's like, oh.
And he transforms into like a King Kong-sized gorilla.
And he kind of like loses himself.
Absolutely.
Like, he has no idea what he's doing in this form.
Yeah, it's a werewolf.
Yeah.
But it's a were King Kong is what it is.
And if they get their tail cut off, they turn back normal.
Correct, yeah. So, to me, it's kind of a huge spoiler because I'm like, they just showed the character that should kind of be the third act surprise. Yeah. You know? And also they made him like a disciple of Piccolo when really these characters haven't met. And that might be like a nitpick.
They don't really have a connection either. They shouldn't.
But they shouldn't.
Yeah, they shouldn't have a connection.
And that leads to a huge plot hole later on, but let's just keep on going. We join Gohan training his grandson Goku. He teaches him that his senses are overrated. This movie's overrated. And that he must learn to use his ki. Goku is frustrated about not being able to use his ki, and also because he is not popular at school. He gets bullied and has to suppress his urges to fight the bullies he knows he can easily defeat. Gohan gifts him the 4-star Dragon Ball and explains them to him. If the 7 Dragon Balls are found, the keeper may be granted a wish. Goku looks disappointed in receiving such a lame gift. Why is Goku such a fucking brat in this movie?
Because he's in high school and that's how they are.
It just kind of gets me that, like, I get that he's, like, frustrated about whatever. When his grandfather gives him, like, this very treasured gift, he's like, this is the best thing I own in my life.
Yeah.
Goku's just like, meh, I can take it or leave it. Like, whatever.
And, to his credit, he does, like, keep it with him.
I don't think he takes it to the party.
He does.
Oh, I guess he does. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know why, but
he
does.
I think he does it for luck. I think that's what he thinks of it.
It's like a lucky charm.
This is like a hokey, like...
Maybe I'll get laid if I have this in my pocket.
Yeah, like, what are they called? Like a little Buddha statue. Like, people keep those for luck, you know? I think that's what he thought this was.
But but Goku in this movie also seems to suffer from the weird Peter Parker syndrome that Tobey Maguire has in the old Spider-Man movie, where you look at this guy and there's no reason to, like, outright hate him, but for some reason everybody hates him. He goes to school, he gets his fucking bike run over, and
he gets bullied immediately.
Yeah.
This whole first act suffers from a Spider-Man complex.
It's like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. Yeah.
We can compile a list of films now that are direct answers to Spider-Man and how closely they're trying to be Sam Raimi Spider-Man, right? We've already watched like 4 of them. And this is no different.
Everyone in high school looks like they're about 20-something.
Yeah, no, the similarities are totally uncanny. This film is also distributed by 20th Century Fox, so I think I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, look, make it like Spider-Man and we'll give you the money. You know what I'm saying? That was Sony. But Fox was trying to compete is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because
Why did they make it like X-Men?
They did Daredevil, which is very similar to, like, in certain spots, it's very similar to Spider-Man. Yeah. Ghost Rider was clearly like, it followed that same Spider-Man formula. This is to a T the first act of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Almost to the point where I'm like, this doesn't even look like Dragon Ball anymore. They've changed so much that I'm like, you're clearly just trying to make Spider-Man and just swap out the characters with Dragon Ball characters.
They do,
but you're ignoring everything about Dragon Ball.
They do a few cool things that do give me kind of like a Dragon Ball feel to it, and it's the way they present like their futuristic tech. You know, like these cars aren't quite like regular cars.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that, but
there's something different about them. But that I liked. Not really anything else.
I think I have 2 things I like about this movie.
I like that the guns like have to charge up. Little things like that.
Little futuristic little things. Yeah. The action is already like god awful. They have a little like sparring match on top of a set of ropes, like a balancing thing. And it's like already knocks really bad.
Bug into his grandpa's mouth.
Yeah, it's really quick cut. A lot of zooms.
Slow motion.
Like, there's some like wire work here and there's some effects. And you can tell the one that they were like, some of these look good, so we'll put them in camera. Some of them don't look good. So zoom into his feet hitting the ground.
Yeah,
zoom
so instead of
like
doing something that looks good, we'll just
cover it up. Yeah. So yeah, he's a fucking brat, Goku, because Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker's a fucking brat. That's why. It's such a departure from the anime where he's a very happy, innocent boy.
With a very like positive outlook on life and stuff, even when bad things happen.
That's been kind of criticized a little bit, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, for making Goku like the Superman character. But that's what it is. He's a Superman character.
He's the anime version of Superman.
Yeah. He's very clear cut on his morals and his ethics, and he knows what the right thing to do. He always does the right thing.
He is an idiot, though.
He is...
he's actually dumb.
Kind of ignorant. He's at least, what's the word? Naive. He's very naive.
Yes. There's a few times in the series where he nearly causes the end of the world because he wants to get stronger and test his power.
Okay, yeah, I think I remember that.
Hey, let's have a tournament, and if we lose, you can kill us all. Like, what?
That is true. Yeah, I remember that.
The Cell Saga?
The Cell Saga. He gets very arrogant. On an airship, Piccolo and his servant Mai fly over a village. Piccolo drops an energy ball and destroys it. There, Mai searches the village for a Dragon Ball. We're 8 minutes in and I have so many questions, by the way. It is mentioned at the beginning of the movie that he was imprisoned by these, like, warlocks, warriors.
Right.
And like, this big ornate vase.
Yeah.
Right?
It kind of reminded me of the whole, like, when you imprison, like, a genie or something.
Yeah. Basically. There's no mention of how he escapes at all. We don't know how he's
just
there.
out.
How did he acquire this airship? Why does nobody know about this? Why isn't this flagging any radars?
And he's like orbital bombing villages.
No one seems to bat an eyelash.
How does he know where the
Dragon Balls are?
He doesn't have a fucking radar that Bulma invented for him.
And who's Mai? Like, I know who Mai is because they took her from this anime, sort of. She's a character who is like a henchman for a different bad guy who looks nothing like this character. She's not.
Is she part of the Red Ribbon Army?
No, she's Emperor Pilaf's agent is what they call her. And they're
it's unrelated to Piccolo, like, completely.
Yes, they're very comically inept characters.
Right.
They're like, Emperor Pilaf and his two goons are like Wile E. Coyote or Team Rocket. Like, they're always just kind of getting like foiled in very like funny ways, and then they keep on coming back with more antics to like take over the world. So I guess just to give him like a sidekick, they're like, oh, let's in name only take this like very inept character and make her like a badass.
But like, it's not explained who the fuck she is. She's just there doing things for him. Does she
get him out? Like, I feel like we're missing a scene here, which we probably are, in fairness.
Something probably got cut.
This movie's an hour and 20 minutes or something like that.
It was probably chopped to shit.
Yeah. And the other thing is the vase thing in the I keep wanting to say in the comics. In the anime, it's a rice cooker.
You could say the comics too.
Sure. But it's like an electric rice cooker. Because a lot of Dragon Ball is just really silly for like the sake of being silly.
Yeah.
Like, it's just making fun of kind of all these really overly sad and, serious shows and stuff.
It's almost satirical in certain ways. Yeah.
It's kind of ironic that this is going back to like, oh, we're going to take ourselves really seriously, which is that's what Dragon Ball was making fun of. Like, they didn't put him in an ornate lamp like Aladdin.
Yeah.
They put him in a fucking rice cooker. Because that's what they had lying around.
It's practical and it's funny.
Okay. At Unitech High School, Goku's bike gets run over by Carrie Fuller, a bully. He challenges Goku to a fight, and Goku restrains himself. Goku likes Chi-Chi, the bully's girlfriend, and daydreams about her in class. The teacher asks Goku what the solar eclipse meant to their ancestor, and when he answers it means the coming of the Nameks, an alien race who nearly destroyed the Earth 2,000 years ago, the whole class laughs at him.
All right, so this whole sequence of events is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, the Flash Thompson fight.
Yep.
And Transformers when Shia LaBeouf goes crazy in class.
A little bit of that, yeah. You're absolutely right. That's probably what this is.
Also, Goku's a fucking idiot. Oh yeah, my grandpa believes in these aliens. They're gonna come and kill us. I mean, he's right. Turns out, but like,
sure. It's
you gotta know how that sounds.
It's also a super oversimplification, which I'm totally fine with.
Right.
Because in the series, they explain this over like...
They explain it.
2 seasons of Dragon Ball. And
they explain it almost too much.
And like 2 seasons of Dragon Ball Z, too.
Yeah. About like the
Piccolo...
Namekians?
I think they're just Nameks. Who live on planet Namek.
That'd be like being a human that lives on the planet
I know.
Human.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Piccolo's a Namek, but he's kind of a lone wolf type deal. He doesn't represent the rest of the Nameks. They're mostly like benevolent.
Yeah, they're like
aliens.
Peaceful people.
Yeah. And he's only evil because the original Piccolo, whose name we don't even know anymore, the original Namek split his soul into 2 to separate the good from the bad because he wanted to be the protector of Earth. So the evil, which is a horrible idea. So basically he cast away a very
an evil version of yourself so you could...
Yeah, who wants nothing but like destruction and like murder. And so that's the villain that Goku has to deal with for like 2 seasons.
And they kind of treat him more as like a demon than an alien in the series. They
Yeah,
call him like the Demon King Piccolo.
That's again because he's pure evil.
Yeah,
that's why. Yeah. So later on, I'm gonna get into how this makes no sense scientifically either because it's a full moon like this whole movie, and yet there's a solar eclipse coming. Those don't happen at the same time. So Goku sees Chi-Chi having trouble opening her locker and tries again to use his key to open it. He blows open every locker and Chi-Chi notices him. Understanding Ki herself, he makes a fool of himself and she invites him to her party that night.
I don't hate this scene.
I think you only like it because it's Spider-Man. Because it's so Spider-Man and it's fine. If this
it's one of the better aspects of like a Spider-Man.
Sure,
type scene.
Exactly. And if this wasn't so clearly ripped off of Spider-Man, I'd be like, yeah, this is fun. But when I see this, I only see this is Spider-Man at the expense of Dragon Ball. Because these characters are exact opposites of they were in the source material. Chi-Chi has like always been in love with Goku. Always. And Goku doesn't even notice.
Well, he was too young to really understand what the hell that even is.
And even later, when they meet again, when he's young, he's like, "Oh yeah, we can be married. That's fine.
Yeah,
we'll be betrothed."
What's married?
He doesn't know.
Yeah.
And then like many years later, when they're adults, they run into each other again, and she's mad at him for not remembering her. And someone has to explain it to him, and be like, "You told her that you guys were gonna get married. That means like you're lovers now." And he's like, "Oh shit, I didn't know that's how that worked." Like, I don't actually like her, even though she kind of like coerces him into like getting married for real.
So their marriage is a sham.
I mean, they seem to be happy later on in Dragon Ball Z.
I think Goku's just happy with anything.
But I think it would just be more interesting because it's not something we've seen a goddamn million times.
Right.
If it's him,
what if she was pining for him
and he just doesn't notice, and he's like, okay. And she's trying to flirt with him, and he's just so, like, unaware. I think that'd be more interesting, because it's not something we see as often.
It also makes for some funny, awkward scene. Like, I like this awkward scene, but it might be because it's Spider-Man.
Like, why not have her be like, oh, like, do you want to come to my party tonight? Like, I'll be there, and I'm wearing blah, blah. And he's like, I'm busy tonight, and walks away. You know what I mean? Like, it's my birthday.
It's my birthday, I can't.
Why not do that? That's at least closer to, like, the characters, you know? So...
This scene also has something referring to like kind of like the technology in this world where like their lockers, they have to open it with swipe cards.
Yeah. Dragon Ball takes place it's like a Star Wars situation. It takes place in the past, but it's also more, the people are more technologically advanced.
Yeah.
So it's very futuristic, all the things that they have.
And I like the aesthetic of it. You know, like the whole like, oh, swiping a card to open your locker. That's something that I could see being something in the future.
That's why I like holographic desks. With like basically like iPads built in and stuff like that, like computer desks.
Like stuff like those little details are actually kind of cool because they do kind of remind me of the world of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Loosely.
Oh yeah. And we'll see a little bit more of that later when we meet Bulma. But
we'll see a lot of it, with the whole capsule corp and stuff. Yeah.
That shit's cool. That's like the only cool thing in this movie.
I know.
Okay. Goku leaves for the party despite Gohan preparing him a feast and a birthday cake for Goku. At the party, the bullies try to stop Giku. That's what they call him. It's very Spider-Man. From entering and threaten to beat him up. Goku doesn't back down this time, but also honoring his grandfather's wishes, doesn't fight back. He dodges every punch until the bullies beat themselves up, and does the same with Fuller, who destroys his car with a metal rod.
Here's a Flash Thompson fight again.
It's literally the same thing.
To the point where, like, the same way he dodges it almost the same way. Yeah.
Also, why are there so many just rods lying around? Like, it wasn't a tire iron. It wasn't a crowbar. It wasn't a baseball bat.
For a second, it looked like the thing you'd use to, like, stoke a fire.
Exactly. And there's 2 of them out in the driveway of that house. It's just a prop that they had there conveniently.
Well, isn't it revealed that Chi-Chi actually, like, trains and stuff? Maybe they are actual weapons?
I don't think so.
It just look like...
It just looked like a metal rod.
It's weird.
Like
it's a weird thing.
Rebar, thank you.
Yeah, that's weird.
Okay. Also, how stupid is everyone? Like, Fuller's like, all right, I'm going to hit you with this thing with my own car right behind you.
And then he continues to do so after he hits this car the first time.
He does it until the car literally blows up.
Which is a little funny. But
for a gag, it's fine.
Yeah.
And honestly, this is the peak of the action in this movie, is this scene. It was actually done pretty well. There's some good stunts here where he's dodging all the punches. He does a weird, like, he swipes over the car.
With his head?
Yeah. There's a little bit of slow-mo. Like, this is the one part where I think they focus most of the choreography on, because there is no more after this.
Can we talk about how Goku just leaves for the party without telling his grandpa anything?
Yeah.
He doesn't say, like, hey, I got invited to a party. Nothing like that. He just, I'm going to sneak out of the house?
Yeah. You kind of feel bad because Gohan had a whole feast. He had, like, he was roasting duck.
It didn't look that good.
I think it was kind of a joke, though.
Yeah, he was, like, sucking on, like, a chicken's foot and stuff.
Yeah.
The cake looked good.
Sure, yeah. It's Uncle Ben.
Oh, yeah.
Because
it is because he lets him down. The one time he lets him down, he dies. Oh, spoiler.
Yeah, he dies in the next scene. But you know, he let him down. He wasn't there on time. You know, he had this thing with his birthday, and in the comic, God, in the fucking anime, Grandpa Gohan is already dead. We never
Goku killed him.
We only see Grandpa Gohan in like 1 or 2 flashbacks, and that's it.
Yeah, because in the comic / anime, Goku kills his grandpa by mistake when he turns into the great ape.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think he accidentally squishes him. Is that what happens?
I don't know if they say. It's just really implied. Because later on, when you find out that Goku is like this werewolf type thing, he goes, my grandfather died on a full moon. And he always told me never to look at the full moon. And that's all he said.
And the one time he did, his grandpa died.
Yeah. And no one said anything to him. They were all kind of like, ooh, sorry, dude. Like, that sucks. You killed your grandpa and you don't even know it.
Yeah, that does suck.
But it's at least interesting where this movie is. Again, this is something we've seen a million times. But.
Yeah.
At the party, Chi-Chi flirts with Goku, who mentions that his grandfather celebrates his birthday on the exact time every year, right now. And that he doesn't know his parents, but that Gohan will explain everything to him when he turns 18, also this exact moment.
I just turned 18.
Yeah, he's like, oh no, like right now is my birthday. Like we always celebrate at this exact time.
And I'm not there with him because I decided to come here.
And it's right now. Also, Chi-Chi just seemed to like completely forget her boyfriend.
I mean, he's a bully.
But like at that moment, there's no more mention of him anymore. Like she's like instantly single. Okay.
Probably because he just beat himself up.
Yeah. Yeah, you should really feel horrible for standing up your grandfather on the most anticipated moment of his life.
Literally waiting for Goku to turn 18 and so he can explain everything.
He openly admits, he's like, oh no, he was going to tell me like what my deal is like right now. I should probably not be here. Gohan is attacked by Mai and Piccolo, who realizes the Dragon Ball is not there. He hurts Gohan with telekinesis and destroys his house also with telekinesis. I only say that because that is not a superpower that anyone in the Dragon Ball universe has.
He's literally just like...
Yeah. Gohan explains to Goku that he must unite the 7 Dragon Balls before the upcoming eclipse, and that he must find Master Roshi and tell him that Piccolo has returned. So a lot more prophecy bullshit, which is something that we've talked about before, is a trope that I do not like at all. It's like a patch over bad writing, you know?
Like, it happened because it has to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the solar eclipse is coming, and that's for whatever reason, because I guess the prophecy, that's when Piccolo is going to, like, do his worst, I guess. Huh. But later on, they say, like, oh, you have 7 days. Solar eclipse is happening during new moons, and they keep showing a full moon, so they would have 2 weeks. Okay, it kind of seems like a nitpick, and most people would say that's a nitpick. But
I'm sure most people don't notice.
You could have just said 14 days. We have 14 days. You said 7 days.
Because it sounds more urgent.
But what difference does it make? Like, 14 days is just as, you know... I don't know, anyway. Also, it seems like only Gohan was aware that this was going to happen. Like, he's been waiting for this day. He's like, oh, like, you need to unite the 7 Dragon Balls because it's your destiny to stop Piccolo. Then why didn't you fucking do anything about it? You've just been sitting on 1 Dragon Ball content as hell your whole life.
Yeah. Gohan didn't do shit.
He's like, okay, I know we have only 7 days left, but you actually have a lot of work to do that I could have maybe helped you with long ago.
But you're 18 now, so it's your responsibility.
Yeah, this is your responsibility. The fact that Piccolo can just kind of do whatever he wants is a problem for me. Because there doesn't seem to be any logic behind... like, there's no in-universe logic to anything that they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about, like, Marvel, like, they have to explain all their superpowers. No one just has random superpowers that they're like, oh, because plot. Boom, here I go. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or, like, Harry Potter, they go through painstaking... lengths to explain every spell so you understand what spells work
and they have to learn the spells.
Yeah,
they don't just have them.
Yeah, and then they all make sense within the logic created in the universe.
Yeah, there's like a set of rules set specifically for like magic.
Exactly.
Yeah, and or abilities.
Yeah, and that's why all those universes really work. Whereas here, Piccolo just has telekinesis because that's the best we could come up with. You know, Goku searches the ruins of his house and finds his grandfather's gi. That's like ropes, like karate ropes.
Yeah.
He notices an intruder. Bulma points a gun at Goku, who is looking for her stolen Promethean orb with 5 stars on it. A cutaway shows Mai breaking into Capsule Corp and jetpacking away. I just stop right here because I had to stop the movie and be like, what the fuck did I just see? It was the most ridiculous, like, 10-second cutaway. Bizarre. It looked like a scene from Jason X.
They're like running down like a very futuristic looking hallway.
Yeah.
Bulma's like dual wielding pistols and like
that she happened to have on her.
Or what? Like, yeah, is she like?
Is she responding to this emergency?
She shouldn't be.
So she chases a very comical hole in the wall and starts shooting at Mai, who like stole the Dragon Ball.
Right.
And then Mai jetpacks away through a skylight.
And then she's like, "Fuck."
So fucking bizarre. It looked like a scene from a different movie. So anyway, Goku explains that this is his 4-star Dragon Ball. She shows him her Dragon Ball radar, and the two agree to go off together to find the others. They set off in her capsule ATV. So, in the anime, and in this too, obviously, she is like the heiress of a huge company. It's like Amazon or Google. It's Capsule Corp. And they specialize in putting things in tiny little capsules, which was like my dream as a kid. I'm like, this is the coolest shit in the world.
That's still cool.
That's amazing. So she has like these, like a little small container full of a bunch of capsules for different things. One is a giant like 1-bedroom apartment that she can just put anywhere. Another is like a car, a motorcycle, whatever she probably needs, some like a refrigerator with a bunch of shit inside.
Yeah.
Anything that they can put in a capsule. And in this, in fairness, they show it, and it might be...
It's fine.
The Capsule Corp being like accurate and being cool, along with the futuristic stuff, that's one of my favorite things in this whole movie, by the way. I thought that was
seeing
good.
some of the Capsule Corp stuff is cool.
It's kind of interesting what they chose to keep from the source material and what they chose to like abandon.
Yeah.
Because also the source material has a lot of prehistoric creatures that can talk.
Yeah, they live on like Earth with dinosaurs and stuff. Yeah,
it's supposed to be prehistoric.
Yeah.
And then they also have like talking animals, like anthropomorphic animals that wear clothes and stuff like that.
Like the pig guy.
Oolong, who's a pig.
Oolong, yep.
Yeah. And then we meet a bunch of different kind of weird creatures too. They did away with that. But they'll keep the capsules, I guess. Also, so she thinks that these things are called Promethean orbs, but she didn't know that there are multiple. She just learned this information, and yet she has a radar that she designed to find Promethean orbs or Dragon Balls.
Maybe she did it to just see if there are more out there and look for them.
But she didn't know until... Oh, she said this is like her theory.
Yeah.
She didn't know until... But she used that radar to find Goku in the first place.
But she thought she was looking for the one that was taken from her.
So why didn't she know that there was multiple when she built the damn radar then?
She was theorizing that there was multiple. This just confirmed her. This is the least problematic thing in the movie.
All right. To me, I'm like, this is a plot hole. She's like, oh my God, there's more of them? I knew it. Here's my radar to find more. Whatever. Oh, yeah. There's a scene where when they're fighting, Bulma and Goku, it plays out like one of those fights where like two people end up on the ground together with their guns very close to each other.
Yeah.
You know, but it only does that because she literally laid down to put her gun up to his neck. Did you notice that? He didn't hit her on the floor.
Yeah,
he was down.
What a weird...
She jumped down on the floor to be at eye level with him. She has the gun. She can just point it at him from far away.
What a weird decision by the director.
I think they just wanted that one shot of them being close together, like in The Matrix when they're both on the ground together, or like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Do something
to make it happen. Don't just... go dive next to him and point your gun.
For no reason, I need you to get really close up to him.
During your fight.
Yeah. So they go off together now. In the city, they find Master Roshi because he has a Dragon Ball, and also because Goku can sense him, which doesn't make so much sense.
Maybe he's sensing his ki?
I think he's sensing the Dragon Ball.
I took it as he's sensing the ki.
But then later on he finds a Dragon Ball without even trying.
Oh, maybe it is a Dragon Ball.
He can sense Dragon Balls, which also shouldn't make sense because they're not related in any way, like him and the Dragon Balls. This movie's just trying to be like very prophetic, you know? So like, oh, it's a Harry Potter syndrome, right? Like,
yeah,
he can feel it just because it's his destiny to feel it.
Because like, at least with this scene specifically, I took it as like he can sense other people that have like the same type of power that he does. Because they give off like an aura or something. That's just how I took it.
Like a Star Wars thing where like you can
feel other force sensitive people. Yeah, something like that. That would make sense.
But again,
him just sensing Dragon Balls is dumb because then why do you have the radar?
Yeah. But it's also just stealing things from other... You know what I mean? Like, that's not a thing in Dragon Ball. It's a thing in Star Wars.
Don't they sense like their power levels or something? Like, oh, his power level's insane.
I think if like they're like currently like
and
projecting
the Saiyans
their power
even
off.
have like the little scouters so they can see an actual number on their power level.
It's over 9,000. Yeah, but that's also like a piece of tech. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not intuitive.
It's got to be based on something.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I'm like reaching here.
Yeah, I think we're overthinking this. In the city, they find Master Roshi. I said that. In the last house to be demolished for a new high-rise apartment building. I only say that because it was so stupid. They sneak inside and awaken Master Roshi, who fights Goku with ease. Master Roshi gives him his Dragon Ball and recounts a poem. Oh, sweet, I wrote it down. Oh, wait, no, I didn't write it down. Fuck. It doesn't matter. It was a poem about the Dragon Balls. But the point here is that poem is supposed to be like the prayer to summon the dragon. I should have written down because later on they don't say it again. But anyway,
I think Goku says it, right?
No, he says something completely stupid and different.
Oh, he says something different,
which is my problem with that. It was like a nice poem, basically.
Right.
So in the anime, they find Master Roshi on an island, a very small island, out on the beach,
with one house on it.
Just one. Yeah, it's almost
like a comically small island.
Yeah, I think that's the point. Because Master Roshi's supposed to be like this character who's like embracing the vacation Hawaii lifestyle.
Right.
His house is called Kami House. He invented a technique called the Kamehameha, which is a Hawaiian word.
Yeah, he's a chill dude.
He wears Hawaiian shirts. Like, he's supposed to be like kind of like an old retiree.
Wants to see naked women.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so in this, instead of putting him on an island, they made it so that they're demolishing all the buildings around his. And I guess he's like the last holdout.
And it kind of looks like an island a little bit.
You know what that reminded me of is like in Deadpool X-Men Origins, when they introduced Deadpool for the first time. It was during the writer's strike, and the producers were like, let's reinvent this character because we can't just do the character, right? We have to completely reinvent him. But
they ruined him.
Right. But we're going to put like the diamonds on his eyes as like scar tissue, right? Because he's scarred up. And in the special features, the producers were like, we think the fans are really going to love this because they love Deadpool. No, they hated it.
But it's not Deadpool.
Because you didn't need to reinvent this. Like, okay, so you're giving us this house on an island, like the comic. But why didn't you just fucking put it on an island? Why is it, like, in the middle of, like, the cityscape, you know?
I thought the city itself looked kind of cool.
Yeah, and in fairness, like, it does look like the cities in
Dragon Ball Z.
And Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, where it's very futuristic. Yeah. A lot of this was filmed in Mexico, and I forgot to mention, like, the high school. That's Unitec. It's, like, Universidad Técnica de blah 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 from some city. So their abbreviation was still Unitec, and I think they picked.
So they didn't have to change anything.
Right, exactly. Because it's a low budget movie, basically, and they're like, "That's in Spanish, but no one will know. In fact, it sounds futuristic."
It does, to be fair.
So that was a real place.
That's a clever way to save money.
Sure, yeah, no, I'll give them that. The three set off together, and along the way, Master Roshi trains Goku by making him carry all their stuff and do handstands while trying to master airbending techniques. Put a pin in that. They fall in a hole left by the bandit Yamcha, who tries negotiating, helping them out of his trap for Bulma's capsule ATV. So I did a significant amount of research.
On Yamcha?
No, on airbending. Because I thought, did they steal this from Avatar?
Or is this like a thing?
Or is airbending a thing? And they stole this from Avatar. I can't find a single mention of airbending that's not Avatar related at all.
He does mention the other elements too. Well, he mentions what, air, fire, and water. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't think he mentions earth.
I think at that point it's copyright. Like, that's gone too far.
Water, earth, fire, air.
I kept on thinking, why make this about airbending? It's not a thing in the...
Yeah, didn't they like basically make the Kamehameha like an airbending
an airbending technique? Yeah.
Whereas in the source material, it's a giant beam that you shoot out of your hands.
And also,
energy.
They learn to use ki. So ki is your inner energy.
Yeah.
And the theory is you
channel it into
all kinds of things. And this is a real thing that, you know, people believe.
Right.
But this takes it to the next level where you can actually channel it into like visible energy outside of like the palms of your hands, and you can shoot that at people, which is a thing that like other comic books and cartoons do all the time, right?
Yeah.
But Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z are kind of known for that, as like shooting all different kinds of specialized energy beams at each other. Yeah. That's part of them fighting. That's part of like their martial arts.
Yeah.
And the Kamehameha is just one version of that.
Yeah.
Whereas
it kind of becomes like Goku's like signature move after he learns it from Roshi.
In fairness, and this Roshi explains, it's as strong as much energy as you put into it. So it works as a weak attack if you're a weak attacker, Or, yeah, when Goku's
Or
like
you
the
can
strongest person
obliterate
ever
people.
with a Kamehameha. Exactly.
Yeah. And then like in the anime and manga, we see like different variations of the Kamehameha. Like you'll see like the Super Kamehameha or like the Warp Kamehameha where he like teleports behind them and then shoots.
I don't remember those.
It's just little fun
okay.
variations of the attack.
Cool.
It's still overall the same thing.
Yeah. So I just had kind of a problem with the whole making this an airbending thing, because later on we clearly see, later on he uses a Kamehameha to light torches on fire. So now it's firebending. You could have just said this is a ki attack, like this is your energy, and be done with it. It's
you did
even
not have to mention airbending
at all, and it's fewer words. It makes more sense.
And it's less likely to piss people off.
Yeah, you've pissed off 2 camps of people now. Now Avatar people are like, what the fuck, man? Here is the second thing I did like about this movie is the silliness of training Goku.
Oh, like the comically large thing he had to carry on his back and run and yeah.
Because that's what Dragon Ball is. It's very silly.
Yeah.
That is part
and
of
Goku
it.
does stuff like that for fun.
Yeah. He I watched the first few episodes yesterday morning. And he goes, I'm going to go outside for exercise. And he grabs a big boulder and he just squeezes it until it smashes to a million pieces. And then he grabs another boulder, but he finds out it's a turtle. And he's like, oh, no, I'll put you back down, Mr. Turtle.
Yeah.
Mr.
Turtle.
How many licks to... And then later on, when he trains with Master Roshi gives him a big turtle backpack, like a turtle shell.
Yeah.
And he has to wear it, and then it's apparently incredibly heavy, or it incrementally becomes more heavy.
Like normal people can't lift it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's basically like an endurance training thing. When he finally takes it off, he realizes how much stronger he's become.
And it's a thing a lot of anime do kind of in general. I'm also thinking of a scene from Naruto where one of the characters, his name's Rock Lee, he's clearly based off of like Bruce Lee.
Oh, yeah.
He takes off his ankle weights during a fight because he's like kind of like, he's done holding back. And all the characters are like, what's removing like a few ankle weights going to do? Then he drops the ankle weights and they're so heavy that they make like craters in the ground.
Nice. I think they do that in Dragon Ball too. Piccolo trains.
It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Later on in Dragon Ball Z, Piccolo trains with these robes and he has a turban.
They're like weighted, right?
They're weighted.
Yeah.
And then when he takes them off, they actually like break the ground when he throws them down. And I think
he makes Gohan wear them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Goku also at one point wears like heavy robes. They don't look heavy, but they are, I guess.
Like they want to draw him the same, but they're like, oh, these are weighted.
Exactly. Just right. Don't think about it. So no, I like the silliness. This might be something some people point at and I'm like, oh, this is stupid. But like, this is at least like accurate.
Yeah.
This is part of the fun of what Dragon Ball is. It's ridiculous.
If more of the movie was like this, it'd be a better movie.
It'd be funny at least. Because there's nothing fun about this film. This was the only fun part to me. Was a little mini training montage as they're like driving.
Yeah.
And yet, I'm like, the silliness here, like I said, this is the only in tone thing that matches from Dragon Ball, but it makes me question, you wanted to do this, but you didn't want to do anthropomorphic animals? Like, where did you draw the line? Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Yamcha's still an idiot in this, just like he is in source material. He starts off as a bandit as well.
Yeah. But he's also a horrible actor in this movie.
Yeah, I looked into
actor.
this guy. I don't think he's really an actor. He's like a singer.
Oh, is he really?
He's like a South Korean singer.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. He had like frosted tips.
Yeah.
I thought he looked the part of Yamcha. He doesn't literally
like a douchebag.
Yeah. He has like this very douchey air about him. He's like, he's Asian, he's muscular.
But he doesn't really have like, at least on screen, like the charisma.
No, not at all.
All these other actors are just like acting circles around him in comparison.
Are they though?
In comparison.
Okay. It was around this part where, like I was saying about the silliness, it makes me question whether you can even adapt this. Like, is Dragon Ball actually adaptable? That's something I want to talk about when we get into the analysis. But the part that I like would maybe be something that most people think is ridiculous. And I'm like, well, then fuck it. Like, what's the point of...
It's not going to work.
What's the point of making a live-action movie then, you know?
Yeah.
As they wait in the hole, Master Roshi repeats a story told at the beginning of the movie, that 2,000 years ago, Earth was nearly destroyed by Piccolo and Uzaru, this time with Yamcha listening in from above. Master Roshi jumps out. Don't know why he didn't do that earlier. Hours have passed, by the way.
They wasted a lot of time.
Yeah. Master Roshi jumps out, and they find a ball nearby in the rocks. Actually, they don't. It's very confusing what happens here, because they drill a hole, but then they end up on a volcano. Are those different balls? Oh, they are different balls. I'm sorry.
Yeah, those are different balls. They find this one just kind of
They just happened to find in the hole.
Yeah.
Mai reports to Piccolo on the status of Master Roshi and Goku because I guess now she knows their names. Piccolo removes a ton of blood to create some monsters. Random kind of collection of scenes here, but they repeat the same intro, almost word for word, narrated by,
which is almost what the TMNT movie did also. With the hey, let's repeat what we said at the beginning of the movie again.
Yeah. Then why put it in the beginning then? You know what I mean? It's the same problem I had with that movie, where halfway through the movie they, tell a story about.
It just becomes wasted time because you repeated the same thing.
Yeah, and it might be more interesting if you didn't tell us at the beginning. Now we know who Piccolo is.
Yeah,
if we
who's this guy after them? Oh,
yeah, because just like the TMNT movie, they literally showed a picture of Piccolo at the beginning of the movie, going like, "This is the bad guy,"
and spoiled it.
In case you are curious. Also, Master Roshi says somehow Piccolo's escaped, which is like now infamous for
which somehow Palpatine's returned.
Yeah,
we still don't know how. Nope. Not really. I do think they're sort of trying to connect it with all these new Star Wars shows, though.
Probably, but the point is, it's just like a patch over bad writing,
right?
You know what I mean? Like, you went through all this trouble of saying that he was locked up in like this vase. Should have been a rice cooker.
It's like somehow he escaped. We don't know how. Which, in fairness, the main characters probably don't know how it happened, but the audience should know.
Yes,
unless it's going to be like some big reveal.
Exactly,
which
it doesn't.
It's not.
So in this anime, he gets locked up in a rice cooker, right? And that happens before Master Roshi throws it to the bottom of the ocean, and then Emperor Pilaf, looking for the Dragon Balls, finds it and unlocks Piccolo, and then it becomes this big problem, right?
Right.
But yeah, like, tell us how it happened. It's later revealed too that not only do they know who Goku is, they need him. So
why are they trying to stop him?
Exactly. Why not just like lure him over? Why don't you just go get him?
Why don't you like lay a trap like the Emperor did in Return of the Jedi to lure Luke onto the Death Star?
Or like Yamcha just did very successfully.
Somehow.
this kid, this nobody.
This idiot.
This bozo.
Yeah, he's a bozo in the fucking anime too. I'm thinking about that meme of him just laying in the crater.
I don't know that meme.
What?
What? We'll link it below. Show it to me.
They're like, where's Yamcha? And then it's just a picture of Yamcha dead.
Wait, I want to see this. Yamcha also has like a very iconic scar that they didn't put on this character.
No.
And that's a small thing, but. So the team scales a volcano. LOL. Not sure. In the compilation of all the movies they're stealing from the 2000, here's a little bit of Lord of the Rings. Let's just all walk up a volcano. Yeah. That's out of nowhere.
Too bad they're not dropping the Dragon Ball in the volcano.
Yeah. Bulma states the high temps are screwing with the signal. But not you guys, like you're all fine.
Maybe they have shields, capsule quick shields.
People really underestimate how hot volcanoes get. Like, you cannot get anywhere near one. Your body will singe and you'll burn to death.
Even in suits, they have difficulty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yamcha gets hit in the ass by a geyser and doesn't die. Again, those are incredibly hot. And it's just like a funny gag.
Like, that's hot.
They're attacked by putty monsters, like straight from Power Rangers. I wrote down because that's exactly what they're like. Goku starts slicing up monsters to make a bridge to cross the lava lake and acquires a Dragon Ball. This is as truly as ridiculous as it sounds, by the way. Upon holding it, Goku sees more visions of the future. Mai arrives to fight Goku for the Dragon Ball. Goku easily beats her, implying the Dragon Balls are also unlocking more of his powers. That was the implication, right?
I guess, but I don't think that's how they work.
No, it's not how they work. But this movie, it doesn't bother to concern itself with what works or what doesn't, both in the lore or in the logic of this movie.
That's true.
So what does any of that mean? You know what I mean? So here's something. These fucking putty monsters are okay, but anthropomorphic animals aren't. This is true. Like, where do you draw the line? I'm so confused. Like, it seems to me that the studio here said, okay, a lot of Dragon Ball is completely berserk, bonkers, it's ridiculous, it's really out there. We can't do any of this dumb shit for a movie. Let's write up completely different dumb shit to put in the movie. Because
Hollywood knows best.
No, they don't know anything. Because Piccolo created these monsters from like thin air using his blood.
Which is weird.
Which is weird. Very much like Power Rangers. And then they just become like faceless, gray monsters that are just cannon fodder. right?
Yeah, like Power Rangers.
Like Power Rangers. These are putty monsters.
It's like a lesser version of the Power Rangers version, actually.
Putty monsters are at least like more comical.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another thing. The Dragon Ball's unlocking his power, which was the implication, I feel, because he very easily just like dealt with Mai.
Yeah.
You know? And there's some crazy things in Dragon Ball, but at least, like you said, that's not a thing. This
is
one of them.
It at least makes sense.
Yeah.
Within the context of the story.
Exactly. In another town, Masaroshi meets with a monk, played by Ernie Hudson. The fucking Ghostbuster is here.
Which is interesting.
I saw him, I was like, who is... That's Ernie Hudson. That was a bit of a surprise, yeah. They discuss the prophecy and the need for another Mafuma, which is the fucking vase.
Yeah.
Goku sees Chi-Chi fighting in the martial arts tournament against Mai. Chi-Chi flirts with Goku, seemingly forgetting about her boyfriend, what's-his-face. Bulma and Yamcha flirt and seem to fall in love in just a few lines and almost kiss.
Yeah, like I know Bulma and Yamcha were like a thing in Dragon Ball, but like there was at least development there.
Right. Goku and Master Roshi go over the Kamehameha, the last airbending technique. This part of the movie, which is kind of like the downtime in the second act, is usually the part of the movie I like a lot because this is where a lot of character development happens. Mm-hmm. However, in this film, it's about 5 minutes long, right?
Yeah. Like the little bit that we get is fine. It's kind of nice actually, but then it just goes right back to business.
Yeah. I feel like the break is nice. However, what they're doing, I have a lot of problems
with.
They're
just kind of just walking around the town.
Just bopping around.
They're just bopping around.
Ain't got a clue. Again, just meeting with another monk and going over the prophecy again and why there even is one. Like, because for me, a lot of times with these prophecies, it feels almost like a video game where it's like, here's exactly what you have to do. Here's all the answers. You just have to make them happen. You know, you have to go to a thing, grab a thing, then you go, I'll put it on your map. Then you go to another thing, grab that thing, I'll put that on your map. And by the time you do 3 of those, you fight the villain, you win the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But in real life, if you have this big problem, you may not know what the solution is. It's not spelt for you.
You have to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. I think that might be my problem with like all these prophecies.
Go from point A to point B to point C.
Yeah.
Grab object D.
Yeah. Because even in like Star Wars, where there's a prophecy and whatever, half the time they don't even know if it's real.
It's like a vague prophecy.
They're like, I don't know. Maybe it's real. Maybe he's the chosen one. Who fucking knows? Like, turns out he's not. I don't know. Maybe the prophecy is wrong.
Maybe we read it wrong.
Maybe there isn't one. Like, that was interesting, you know?
I like when prophecies are like that, because even Harry Potter does that a little bit. Where it's like vague. It's like, you have to read into it. Like, what does that mean?
I like the Harry Potter. It's
the same thing with the Bible, even. Any sort of, like, prophecy in there, like... Yeah. We don't know what it means.
Sure. It's
vague. Like, you got to read into it, figure it out. It's not like, in 10,000 years, this will happen. You need to be standing right here.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
That's not interesting.
No.
And in Harry Potter, which I think does prophecies pretty well because they can prove it to not be true. Like, it doesn't have to come true. Right. It's a prophecy that will be true unless you change something. Mm-hmm. Because
the future's not set in stone.
Yeah. And the original prophecy in Harry Potter was applicable to more than one person.
And it was more applicable to Neville.
Exactly. And it was only because Voldemort chose Harry that Harry became the prophetic boy.
It should have been.
Because he tried to be... He tried to intervene with the prophecy, and then it kind of bit him in the ass and it evolved a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
That's more interesting, you know?
It is, because I like the whole, like, you know, it's not set yet.
Exactly. It's just a small vision of a possible future.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get into the rest of this bullshit. So there's a martial arts tournament in this. And it's interesting because, for me, Dragon Ball is set in one of 2 plot premises, which is either a road story. A group of people, they're traveling, they run into different things along the way. Their adventures kind of evolve, and they go from place to place. And that's intercut with the World Martial Arts Tournament.
Which happens every so often.
And it takes up several episodes because they get there, they see who's there, they have to go through like the preliminaries and they fight. And usually there's a villain there too. So that's interesting too, as like a premise for, you know, a plot to be set in. However, in this is bullshit. They just like pick one. Don't try to smush 2 an hour and 20.
Right.
It doesn't work. And that's kind of one of the reasons I think maybe this shouldn't be a movie. Or this should be like one of 10 movies, or this should be a series.
These should have been separate, like, story arcs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said we're going to get to that, but I will give them some credit that they put a martial arts tournament in the movie, which is a huge thing. It's a huge element of Dragon Ball. And they at least chose to make some notion of it into this movie, so I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
It's okay that it's there.
Yeah. Chi-Chi's fighting Mai, which seems...
too convenient.
Yeah, but exactly. But at the same time, that's the thing that happens in Dragon Ball, where the villains enter themselves in the tournament, because then they have...
the ulterior motives.
Yeah, and that becomes an interesting kind of plot point, but... So her ulterior
in the sense
motive...
of not being that interesting, though.
No, not really. She wants to steal her blood so that she can, like, clone her, which is, again...
because I guess she knows that Goku's in love with her?
A power... First of all, yes, exactly. Here's a random person she doesn't know anything about. She wasn't even spying on them earlier in the movie when they were together.
No.
So, that's a good point. There's a lot of plot holes in this. And she has some weird, like, cloning... disguise power we don't know about.
Maybe it's tech, but it's probably not.
Which is not a thing that, again, it's not from the source material. It's not something that's explained either, so.
Doesn't Oolong shapeshift?
Yeah, he's the only one, though.
Oh.
And sometimes it's not very good.
No, he becomes like a fat version of whoever he's turning into.
He has to try really hard, and sometimes it's close enough where maybe they can get by, but like only if you don't look too hard.
Almost like a Ditto.
And yeah, to your point, Bulma and Yamcha are a thing in the story.
Briefly, but yeah.
No, for a bit. They're on and off.
For a bit in Dragon Ball, yeah.
For like a lot of Dragon Ball and the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, they're together.
Yeah.
And then they break up, I think, in Dragon Ball Z, and then like a season goes by, and then she's with Vegeta.
Yeah. The other bad boy.
Yeah, that's her type. She's got a type. No, but like, they fall in love in a minute. So that, to me, I'm like, that's...
You just checked something off on a list. And
like, oh, they're a couple, so we gotta make them one, right? Goku practices lighting torches with his ki, and Chi-Chi walks in on him. Chi-Chi incentivizes him to light each torch. With each flame, he may take a step closer to her. He doesn't know what that means, because he's an idiot, by the way. She explains is to get closer to her.
You'll be right next to me, and then I can do whatever I want to.
Yeah, and that really... And
he's like, oh, fuck yeah.
And then he lights all the torches, basically.
Which is good motivation.
Is that when they kiss?
Yes. Because afterwards he puts the torches out.
Oh, yeah, because now he's good at this.
Yeah, he lit three of them in one go.
He's like, all I needed was a little bit of ass. I think my favorite actor in this whole movie is Chi-Chi. I think she might be the best one. At least the one to lay down the best performance. Because there's some other actors you could argue are like she actually has a pretty okay career.
Well, a few of the actors in this movie actually have pretty okay careers despite being in this movie.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like almost
all of them.
Yeah, actually.
So that tells me that the acting might not be the issue. Maybe it's the direction.
Yeah, and the writing. And yeah. Right. So it's a narrow kind of competition.
Her performance is one of the strongest ones in the movie, though.
I totally buy everything she did. It's one of my favorite characters in this film, actually. Even though she's kind of a minor character in a lot of Dragon Ball. She has a lot to do here.
Yeah.
Also, why make Goku the awkward, thirsty boy?
In this scene, I thought it worked pretty well.
It's because of Spider-Man. And we said this earlier.
Yeah. Chi-Chi's Mary Jane. Goku's Peter Parker.
Yep.
Piccolo's a Green Goblin.
Wow! Yeah. Oh, that's good. Okay, so later that night, Chi-Chi leaves Goku's room.
Ooh.
And is caught by Bulma. And they know each other.
Yeah.
They've never met. Oh, not on screen.
I guess they met off screen. That's a little believable, I guess. Maybe they met while they were in the town having all this downtime that we didn't actually get to see.
They also ran into each other one other time. Like
before this?
Yeah, I didn't mention. They go to a place and
like a training camp almost.
Yeah, Roshi's like, I'm gonna train you at this place. It's the best place. No one knows about it. And they get there and now everyone knows about it.
And he's like, this ain't the vibe.
Yeah. And Chi-Chi's there because she's training for the tournament and they run into each other. So maybe they met there. But anyway. So Goku appears and they realize Goku and Chi-Chi weren't just now fucking in the room and she must have stolen the Dragon Balls. Chi-Chi gets caught by the real Chi-Chi and the two Chi-Chis fight. It's Mai in disguise using her blood. One of the two Chi-Chis asks Goku for help, and he believes her and fights the real Chi-Chi, and Mai gets away.
He knocks her the fuck out, too. She's like, Goku, stop. He's like, whoopah.
I love that. He should have known better because one of them is like, Goku, help me. And he's like, oh, that must be the real Chi-Chi. The real Chi-Chi wouldn't ask for your help, bitch. She's strong.
I love how, Bulma and Yamcha are like, oh, yeah, Goku. When I thought he was, getting it.
Yeah, that was fun. That was
actually
a small,
like a fun
moment.
little exchange between characters.
A tiny, small.
Because there was almost chemistry there.
Almost, you're right. Yeah, there was almost something there.
It was like a hint of what could have been.
Yeah. I really hate this trope of having two characters look identical to each other, fighting, and then
tricking the main character.
The main character's like, "Oh my god, which is the real one?" Like, I'm so sick of that.
Does this one happen that often?
It happens all the time.
Not anything we've watched.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I would like to look into this and see which is the original. Like, what started this trope? But I like the one where the one from it's a series of books for kids, and they're horror books. Goosebumps. Oh, thank God. There's a Goosebumps one where this plant turned into the dad. And the plant and the dad look identical.
And that one called like "Don't Come Into the Basement" or something like that.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the end, the kid has to choose which one it is, and it's implied by the end that he chose the wrong one and killed his dad, and then the plant is his dad now.
Yeah. That works in that book though, because that's what that book was specifically made for, that plot point.
But it's such a trope.
I'm sure that's not where the trope came from though.
Oh, probably not. No.
I don't think R.L. Stein created any tropes. I think he used a lot of tropes.
Yeah.
Very cleverly, but I don't think he created any.
So this is all super stupid. And again, it's just introducing a lot of extra powers that are not explained.
And it's resolved like immediately. She's like...
Yeah, so the whole thing doesn't
matter. She gets
matter.
up and she's like,
I
let you hit me.
But it also could have just been Mai. It didn't have to be a fake Chi-Chi. Right. You know what I mean?
Well, Goku's an idiot.
Okay, but like it could have just been her and they fight. Like that is more interesting than covering it all up with this like, oh, she's in disguise or whatever.
It's creating like artificial tension.
Exactly. So Goku gets shot by Mai and goes to another realm where he speaks to Gohan. Gohan tells him to have faith in himself. Master Roshi revives him with a Kamehameha wave.
Do you revive people with the Kamehameha? I don't think so.
Afterwards he goes, oh, a little bit of pain is all he needed.
So was it like their version of using like a, what is it called, an AED?
Little paddle.
Clear.
Yeah, one of those. What's that called?
I don't know. I know the ones that they have in public, I think, are called AEDs, where like you put a pad on them and then press a button. I could be totally wrong. I hope I'm not giving false medical information out to people. I am not a medical professional.
Do not listen to Berto at all.
I do know CPR.
I think you just said this being fake tension. This is more fake tension. Because it's like, oh my god, Goku's dead.
I like that he gets to speak to his grandfather for like a second.
I don't know. I feel like it'd be nicer if Gohan was dead from the beginning.
True, because...
You know what I mean? I don't know.
And they didn't Uncle Ben him?
Yeah. Piccolo assembles the Dragon Balls, and a huge rock temple comes out of the ground. I always get the feeling...
It's ridiculous.
Like, it is. And I always get a feeling that instead of like doing any dramatic tension from hard work and filmmaking and good writing, movies like this are like, well, we have a CGI budget, and we have some leftover money, because we've cheaped out on a lot of stuff, so... There needs to be a big CGI thing happening in the third act. So they're like, all right.
They could have just made the fight look better.
Exactly. There's no substance. Yamcha makes his car fly. They fly now?
They fly now.
And Goku puts his grandfather's gi on to meet Piccolo. Piccolo laughs at his notion of defeating Uzaru and tells him when the eclipse happens, he will become Uzaru. Whoa. Wow. If only I didn't see that coming.
Surprised Pikachu.
Yeah. I mean, everyone who's ever seen this movie also has seen Dragon Ball. The temple is in the very place where Goku landed. Goku transforms into Uzaru, a were-ape that's only slightly larger than Goku. Mai fights Bulma, who is saved by Yamcha, who seemed prepared to sacrifice himself. Okay, so some more little, what I think are plot holes. It seems like Piccolo has brought Goku to this place, saying, this is where you landed. You're like an alien. You came from a meteorite. But also, they were bringing the Dragon Balls there because that's where the Dragon Temple is. So which is it? Is it a coincidence that Goku landed in the exact spot of the Dragon Temple?
Yeah, I don't like that.
Second, as we alluded to earlier, Piccolo apparently needs Goku because he knows that Goku is Uzaru.
Right.
But
this whole time they're trying to like kill him.
Yes, they're after him. And they're after the Dragon Balls. But he
was already going to bring them the Dragon Ball.
Exactly. Why not just wait there for them to they're bringing the Dragon Balls there anyway.
They have to because it's the Dragon Temple.
Exactly. Which is a departure because in the series, you can assemble the Dragon Balls anywhere. It doesn't matter where you are.
You don't have to be in a certain spot. You assemble them, the dragon shows up to you.
You say the thing, the dragon shows up. In this, they have to take it to a Dragon Temple. So what's nice about this as plot devices, as MacGuffins, is that you have to assemble them all for any one party to succeed, right? So they will find each other at some point. That's what happens in Dragon Ball.
That's how MacGuffins work in every story ever.
Yeah, but I'm saying specifically in Dragon Ball, the villains and the heroes are always running into each other because they all need what the other has, the other Dragon Ball. They're only good if they're assembled.
Yep.
Right? So why have you spent the whole movie chasing Goku's Dragon Balls?
Why are you trying to assemble them?
When you already had 2 of them?
Well, also, why are you trying to assemble them when the whole plot hinges on, like, hey, they're going to be assembled and then the world's going to end if Piccolo does it? Does
Piccolo want to make a wish?
Why not hide... I think he does. He wants to like destroy the world or something. But
I thought he wanted to do that with Uzaru.
It's very loosely touched on. I think he. Why
None
wouldn't he want to
make? Makes
why else would he want the Dragon Balls?
Well, I thought he was trying to lure Goku because Goku's Uzaru. And who is Uzaru? Is he a spirit? Why is he reincarnated in Goku?
And why exactly do they need the eclipse to happen? If
I
guess the eclipse awakens Uzaru in this version.
The eclipse is the new, it's the new full moon. Instead of a full moon, it's an eclipse.
Then there doesn't need to be a full moon in this movie at all. Which goes back to your other point.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of allusions to a full moon. They kept on showing one.
Maybe it's like a reference.
And it's like
an Easter egg.
I guess. Whatever. They showed one as late as like 2 or 3 days before this was supposed to happen, by the way. So none of his motivations make any sense logically. Not just like...
What is he trying to do?
Subjectively. Like, it doesn't make sense objectively. Like, what is he doing?
Also, if you assemble the Dragon Balls, do you even need Uzaru? You can make a wish. You can wish for anything you want.
Yeah, why not just kill Goku? Again, none of this adds up at all. They wasted a lot of time when Goku was just going to meet them there anyway.
Just try to like keep the Dragon Balls away?
Because the prophecy. You see what I'm saying? They have all these plot problems and they're like, guys, we can fix this all by just saying it's a prophecy and it needs to happen. This is
because I think Piccolo's goal was to just destroy Earth for some reason.
But he's already strong and he's got an airship. Can't he already do it?
I don't get it.
And if he can use Uzaru, why does he need the Dragon Balls?
And why are the Dragon Balls in this movie?
Because it's called Dragon Ball. This is so dumb. This is the part of the movie where you realize
everything falls apart.
None of this makes sense. None of it holds an ounce of water.
I do like the way the gi looks though. That's actually a pretty decent costume.
I will give you that.
It actually looks good on him.
The costume looks good, except for the pants are really baggy.
Aren't they kind of supposed to be a little bit?
Not that baggy. They're really baggy. They're almost like parachute pants.
Well, he's also really skinny.
Meh. Yeah.
It could just be the actor they put it on.
They should have. Yamcha had a better build. They should have made him cook. Actually, they
don't make that guy the main character.
No. But at least he was more muscular. Is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. So Goku as Uzaru. So now he's transforming. Goku as Uzaru chokes Master Roshi to death as he tells him he can defeat Uzaru from within with faith.
So he's choking this man out, and this man's like, have faith in yourself. You can defeat this demon inside of you. Mm-hmm. And then he dies. Are you ready for the worst line in the whole film? I think this should be the new segment. This should be the new surprise segment instead of a nudity minute, which we did before. Which kind of fell apart.
Yeah, it's just not enough abs in all these movies, honestly.
No, I thought there'd be more.
I really thought that there was not a single one in this movie.
Oh,
in this movie that's based on a very pervy source material.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah, right? Okay, this could be their new thing. Are you ready for the worst line in this movie? Goku says, I am Goku. I am Uzaru. To be one with myself, I must be two. The fuck does that mean?
It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Because in saying this, he gets rid of Uzaru and is no longer Uzaru. He's just Goku again.
Right. So what's the significance of this? And it's all about like, oh, look within and have faith. All that means is, have you tried trying harder? Just try a little bit harder. Can you just try harder and then maybe you'll win? That's all this is.
And then he does the Kamehameha.
Okay, so after he says that, he controls Uzaru. Okay, then he just tries really hard and defeats Piccolo with a Kamehameha wave. Yep, that's it.
And that's it. He just tries harder. He doesn't even really shoot a Kamehameha. He does the whole like Kamehameha, like the charge up.
Yeah.
But then when he does the Kamehameha, he's like flying along with it. So he's just kind of flying, shooting a little bit of energy out. Yeah. It doesn't look good.
No.
It would have looked better if there was just a giant beam of light shooting out of his hand, like in the source material.
Yeah. The team celebrates, but realizes that Master Roshi is dead. Goku uses the Dragon Balls to summon the dragon Shenlong by reciting... Okay, so this might be also the worst lines. He says, Dragon, The test of 7 has been fulfilled. I compel you to come forth and grant my wish.
And he just kind of yells it awkwardly.
Very awkwardly. I thought it was not going to work, and they'd be like, buddy, you're saying the wrong thing. Because early in the movie, Roshi says that there's a poem. And he says the poem, and it's... I didn't write
And he does like a little
it's better. A little like
movement. I don't want to say dance, but it is kind of like a dance.
It's kind of a dance, yeah.
Yeah.
When they see Piccolo for the first time with all the Dragon Balls, Master Roshi says he's about to say the prayer. Okay, so there's more to imply that you have to say these words in order for the dragon to like come up. By the way, in the source material, the dragon's name is Shenron, and here's Shenlong. Seems like a dumb thing to change.
Yeah, why change it?
Why change it? It's it's close enough. Anyway,
pointless.
But then when they actually summon the dragon, he says the dumbest line ever.
And then the dragon shows up.
The test of 7 has been fulfilled. What test? Assembling the Dragon Balls?
I guess that's the test.
That's the test? That's something new. No one's ever said test before.
Was he just kind of saying the first thing that came to his mind?
I think so. That's why I thought it was going to be a gag. And they're going to be like, oh, it didn't work. Oh, because I didn't say the right prayer. Nope. There was supposed to be prayers, all I'm saying.
Yeah, all they had to do was have Goku say the same line.
And then the lamest dragon I think I've ever seen shows up and doesn't say a word. He was like really small, kind of looked like Spyro, but not cute. He looked like an adult Spyro. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just to paint a picture, in the anime, Shenron the dragon is
a huge,
an
massive,
enormous dragon.
like Chinese-inspired dragon where it's like a serpent.
Yes.
Yeah.
So long that his body coils around them when they summon the dragon, like in all places. Like you look around and you see parts of the dragon all around you. His face is huge and it's terrifying. And he stares at you and he's like, all right, you awoken me. What's your fucking wish, bro? Like, go. And he's not patient.
Tell me your wish so I can leave.
Yeah. Sometimes they can't think of a wish and he's very impatient. They've wished things on accident before, talking about like what to wish on, right?
Usually their wish is to bring people back to life, though, because they
much.
always lose people trying to get the Dragon Balls.
Yeah, exactly.
Which kind of makes the whole thing pointless.
Right. It's a very dangerous mission to assemble these Dragon Balls.
Same thing in this movie. Like, all right, you brought Roshi back. Kind of a waste of a wish.
Pretty much. Well...
It's a waste of a wish.
Here's the thing, though. There aren't any stakes in this movie because Roshi shouldn't have been the only death. If you've got this plot device at the end, you can bring
Yamcha.
You should have killed everybody. Kill everybody.
And bring them all back to life with the wish.
Bring them all back to life. That's what they do in the source material.
Yeah.
In the Piccolo saga, Yamcha dies, Krillin dies, I think Master Roshi dies. At one point, Piccolo destroys an entire city, so there's like thousands of civilians that die. And they're like, all right, we can use the wish to say, bring back everybody that Piccolo killed. And then all of them can be brought back in one... Because it's only one wish.
You have to be clever with how you phrase it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they couldn't bring back Gohan. They could have brought back... So why not bring back Gohan then? You could have said, oh, kill everyone who Piccolo killed. You bring back Gohan and Roshi. And all those people from the village. They stay dead.
But it's funny because... Right after Roshi is brought back to life, he's upset that he was brought back to life.
He looked annoyed. I thought that was funny.
Because he was like, oh, I was at this wonderful place. And then your grandpa Gohan showed up and started yelling at me saying it wasn't my time yet. Now I'm back.
That was kind of funny. I like that gag.
Yeah. Because he was saying like he was in paradise.
Right. So this dragon's bullshit. This whole wish is bullshit.
Yeah, Roshi's ungrateful for coming back to life.
Again, a highlight.
All you did was piss him off. Yeah. It was a good gag, though.
Master Roshi is brought back to life. The Dragon Balls are separated, and Goku meets Chi-Chi for a kiss.
Whoa.
They flirt about who will win in a fight, and then meet up at the tournament ring to fight and freeze frame. We should make a list of how many freeze frames we see. So that's kind of the movie. And at this point, do you want to turn it off? Too bad. There's a post-credits scene.
Stinger.
Yeah. And also, it is the slowest paced scene in this entire movie.
It's the only scene that...
And it's so predictable.
It's predictable, but it's the only one that seems like it was from like a real movie, though. Because it was like
a normal paced film, maybe? Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. But also, it's paced so long that you figure out what's going to happen before it happens. And that's no good.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is going to be Piccolo.
Yeah. Piccolo is being nursed back to health by some lady.
Which is confusing because like it kind of looked like he got disintegrated by the Kamehameha. Did he just kind of go flying away?
He looked perfectly fine when we see him again.
He doesn't look damaged at all.
So, here's the thing. If you're trying to set up a sequel,
First off, make a movie we care about in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Never say, oh, we'll make the sequel better. No, make this movie better. You know?
Yeah.
So, and we've talked about that before, but if you've got Piccolo and he's already a boring villain and you want to have like sequel bait, don't bring back the same exact guy when in the source material we fight a different Piccolo that at the end of his saga he spits out an egg and that's the next Piccolo, right?
That would have been better.
Why not do that? Why not
show the egg?
Show an egg and it hatches and there's a baby Piccolo.
And then we're like, is he going to be good or bad?
We don't know. Probably be both because that's what it is in the cartoon. It's both. He's
kind
bad.
He's kind of a dick.
Good.
Yeah. He's not like pure evil though because
he
didn't split his soul.
Exactly. He's just the offspring of an evil entity.
Yeah.
So he has some influences.
He becomes a better father than Goku to Gohan.
He's kind of like an adopted father. It's weird that he gave Gohan to train under Piccolo. Anyway, not most of the villains. Like half of the villains in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z end up becoming like friends after a while.
Yeah.
There's like
Vegeta,
Yamcha. Not Yamcha. Yamcha was pretty quick. Tien. Tien was like a villain for a big chunk of Dragon Ball.
Piccolo, obviously.
There's a bunch of them. So let's just get into the analysis now that we're done with the plot, because I got a lot of problems with this film. First of all, it's not good. It's a lot of nonsense.
Surprise! It's not good.
And here's something: you took what we already said was probably the most prolific manga and animes of all time. I forgot to mention that I read a thing where it was like most people in like Western cultures, like Europe and America, if you ask most people why they like anime, they're like, well, I saw Dragon Ball Z, and then that opened the doors to all these other things.
That might actually be the case for me too, because I saw it when I was a kid.
I don't watch a lot of anime. I've seen a couple. Yeah, they were all around the same time.
I watched a lot more when I was younger.
Toonami was putting a bunch of different anime out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, these are all interesting. Dragon Ball's still my favorite, but
anything that was on Toonami, I definitely like give a look to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But first of all, it's kind of nice to have a movie that's all around bad. Like a lot of times we've talked about films that are,
or like we want to like this because there's some really good things in here.
Yeah. Or in this, I'm like, I've literally have listed 3 things that I like about this film.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. I did want to talk about, so like we talk about costumes and stuff. For the most part, it's fine. I wish he was wearing that gi for longer.
Like more often.
Not just the end as like, it just seemed like, oh, we're going to do the superhero thing. We wait till the end to put him in like his iconic outfit.
Right.
It's his iconic outfit for a reason.
He should have put it on as soon as he started training under Orochi.
Yeah.
And then maybe say something like, oh, this gi's like weighted, to help with your training.
Maybe.
Even like a lame like throwaway line like that would have made it to where like, okay, so it's not weird that he's wearing this.
Yeah. Plot-wise, it's Spider-Man, like we said.
Poor man's Spider-Man, but
it's definitely modeled after Spider-Man, and that's a huge problem, I think.
Eventually we'll talk about that movie because that's one of the big ones.
Spider-Man, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the plot's just not that strong with that movie. So trying to model this movie after it is not doing it any favors.
It's just like, for every time you have a movie like Spider-Man that's good, it made a lot of money, it's very influential. It's influential in the best ways and then also in the worst ways. Yeah. Because now everyone's going to try to copy it. It
inspired a lot of really bad copycats.
Sure. On the one hand, it did tell people, hey, if we make a genuine adaptation of the source material, like we're not going to shy away from it being kind of campy. Like, here's the real costume. Here's all the ridiculous aspects of Spider-Man. We're just going to put it on screen. People will like it. Yeah. Because that was around the time that they thought people don't like comic books. Only if it's campy and they make fun of them, basically. Like, ironically.
Yeah.
But let's just do something earnest. Do the comic. Put it on screen. And Spider-Man was that lesson for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right? But
yeah, it was campy in a good way.
It's very earnest. Like, it took seriously what it was doing.
Yeah. No, it's one of those movies where, like, and again, I don't want to talk about it too much because we will talk about that movie. But it's one of those movies where at the time, it did everything right at the time. It did exactly what it needed to do.
But also my point is, like, it influences way too many copycats.
Yeah, and they're taking the wrong lessons from the success of the movie.
Exactly. That's exactly my point, is that they're learning the wrong lessons from that film. They're making movies like, again, Daredevil was good on paper, we said, but then in execution, they were clearly trying to copy Spider-Man.
There's a lot of issues with that movie.
Yeah, so was Ghost Rider. Just trying to do Spider-Man. And there could have been things like, when we watched Kick-Ass, we're like, well, this is a fun little meta satirical kind of play on this genre. Right? Yeah. That's smart.
And it knew exactly what it was doing.
It's very smart.
Both of those movies are fantastic.
Yeah. This isn't that. It's like they said, give us Spider-Man. You can call the characters whatever you want, but just, we want this formula. and it adheres a little too closely to it. Like, these characters shouldn't be in high school. Goku didn't go to school. That's kind of a thing.
Yeah, he's ignorant to society.
Yeah. Because when we kind of hinted at this, how do you make a Dragon Ball movie? You know, and I used to think back when I was in high school and early college, when I was still kind of a Dragon Ball Z fan, I was like, these would make great movies. You should make these into good movies.
And now it's like, would they though?
But now looking back, I'm like, is this adaptable? Like, is this actually adaptable?
Can you capture what needs to be captured in order to make it like an enjoyable story?
Yeah, because
you probably have to change a lot of things.
Well, that's the thing. At that point, then why do it? Because we talked about there's anthropomorphic animals. There are really silly aspects to Dragon Ball. The story is very much long. Like, you know, there's long story arcs in them. It's very slowly developed. There's a ton of characters. Where do you say, let's put a 2-hour movie? 2 hours is generous. They did an hour 20. If you were going to make a 2-hour movie and do a Dragon Ball, what do you do? Do you do the first season? Do you skip Pilaf because he's just like this kind of comical character? Do you go straight to Red Ribbon Army? And then
I think Red Ribbon Army would be a good, like...
Sure. And then, like, the second one you do, like, Piccolo or an android for season 2, or for the second movie. I don't know. But the point is, because it is like a road story, and parts of it have this big tournament kind of structure, it doesn't feel like it should be a film. Nothing in Dragon Ball feels like it can be condensed to a film.
All of the story arcs are, like... First off, there's too many locations, I feel like, for a film. Like, it needs to be a series.
But the thing also about like road stories too is that like they have to be long. It's because you have to feel that they are on a journey. And
otherwise,
that takes time.
It's going to feel way too quick. It's going to feel like it's not going to feel like they're exploring the world at all. You're just going from like, okay, this location. It feels like set pieces and not
right. And this is paced like really quickly,
way too quick.
And you don't really get that sense of like they're traveling, they're meeting people along the way. There's just like that Yamcha bit, and that's kind of it. It's hard to make like movies that are good road stories, I think, unless if they're kind of long and drawn out
and literally built around that concept of the road.
You think about like what's a good one? Like I always think about Harry Potter 7 Part 1, which I think is an excellent road story. Because they spend so much time just like traveling and going like, all right, we got to set up camp here. Now what do we do? I don't know. And they're scared. And then you're scared watching them as the audience. And they could only do that because they broke that movie into 2 parts. Imagine if they had done it in 1 part.
It would have been terrible.
And then you don't get that feeling anymore because you're going to make that road story aspect, 45 minutes.
I kind of wish they broke more of them into 2 parts.
Yeah, but I'm saying, that's one of the best ones because they were able to take their time with it, The more I think about it, I'm like, okay, well, maybe this would work better as a series. And then I'm like, well, it's weird. Like, maybe it wouldn't work live action. So I just keep coming back to like, okay, it needs to be a fucking cartoon then. So when we get back to square one, I'm like, is this adaptable? And I think that's kind of what
it's like, I don't want to ever say like something's not adaptable because surely there's a way to find out how to do. Because people said Watchmen was not adaptable, and some people still will say that. I personally really like that movie.
I think they adapted it pretty fine. Honestly, I think that movie's pretty good.
Yeah, but it had to be a very long movie, granted. But
sure. But, I mean, to your point, I used to say, oh, yeah, you can make anything into a movie. And now I'm seeing this. I'm like, I think this is the first time where I'm like, I don't think you can. I don't think Dragon Ball is adaptable. I think it's perfect the way it is. I think you could do it again if you wanted to, like, reboot it. If you wanted to make a new, I've been meaning to start the new Rugrats. It's like a reboot of the last series. It's just, like, different. It's
like,
a little
make
different.
It just a new thing. Which
it's
this
a new
movie
thing.
Did, but they were also trying to adapt something.
No, what I'm saying is
time.
Right. I'm saying if you want to make another cartoon, you could make another cartoon.
Yeah.
But I feel like at the end of the day, like that's the only way that this makes any sense.
Yeah. We also got to keep in mind, like, this movie is a more American take on the Dragon Ball series.
Yeah. Well,
not that that's an excuse for how bad it is.
Do you want to get into like whitewashing?
Yeah. I don't know. This might be the perfect movie to talk about that, actually. Obviously, this isn't a direct adaptation of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
It's loosely based on it. This is a different version of it.
Way too loosely. That's the problem.
This is like an American version, basically, of Dragon Ball. Like,
that's what people say is whitewashing.
Right. But it'd be different if it's like, all right, we're going to take, literally Dragon Ball and like cast a white person in that role. It's not the same. Like, this is a different Goku, clearly.
So I think for me, it depends on what the intention of the original content was.
Right.
So there are a lot of examples as to like what we call something like, oh, this is whitewashed, things that have been considered problematic now. One is Ghost in the Shell. And that's a movie that I really want to get into. And because we considered it a failed one, they weren't going to make any more sequels. I thought it was too problematic. It counts.
Okay.
And it's it's an American made film based on a Japanese manga, right?
Right.
So it counts. But they took the main character and they cast it as Scarlett Johansson.
Right.
And people were like, this is a Japanese thing. You should cast a Japanese person. And Japanese people were like, we don't give a fuck. Like,
we don't care.
We don't care. We're probably not going to watch the movie. You do whatever you want. Like, you bought the rights to it.
Yeah.
Do whatever. Like, make your movie. I think they're more understanding of that because they do that all the time. They take our stuff and they're like, we're going to make a Japanese version. And we're like, okay, we're going to take your stuff. We're going to make an American version.
Right.
You know?
Well, it's a weird thing because it seems like, I don't want to say all the time, but a lot of the times when you hear like an outcry over something that's usually like racial or something to do with some community, it's not the people of that community that are the ones crying out. It's usually white people.
It's usually us. Right?
It's usually white Americans that are getting it's weird. You don't get it.
You don't have to get upset on other people's behalf. Let them be
right.
Let them be vocal about it if they choose to be.
And that's if they're even upset.
Yeah. So there are some times where I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't have casted that person.
Right.
And we talked about this. There were times we saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah. They casted Asian roles, right? Mm-hmm. And they casted them with Asian people, but then they voiced them over with American voice actors.
That's whitewashing.
That is whitewashing because that person speaks English. And I know for at least two of those actors that they spoke English. Why not let them at least try? Like, were their accents that bad for you? You needed to have a white person fake an accent? Yeah. That seems not okay. You know what I mean?
But like in the case of like this, like he's not trying to act like an Asian Goku. First off, Goku's an alien from another planet.
That's the other thing, yeah. And
secondly, this movie has Asian roles played by Asian people.
Yeah.
I don't think any jobs were taken away from anybody because of this. And also, did you really want to be in this movie?
So for this one specifically, because I think it's all case by case, right? And
I can agree with that.
I think that's what we're going to get into when we get into other movies that were adapted from anime and mangas. Mm-hmm. Ghost in the Shell, I think she's a robot. And that's why people are like, it doesn't matter. Like, she's a robot. She's not Japanese. In this, I get the impression from watching, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z growing up that they are a very multicultural society. Again, this is a prehistoric society.
It doesn't take place in Japan.
It takes place on Earth, and they travel the whole planet, by the way.
Yeah.
And they meet all kinds of different people.
Yep.
And I always got the sense that it is a mix of cultures in this, because I just watched 3 episodes, and there's a lot of things that are drawn in English. I watched one in Japanese, like subbed, right? When Bulma shows up, she has a shirt that says Bulma in English. She has a car that has things written in Japanese, but other people have things written in English. And I know, maybe it's like, oh, we're going to sell this to Western markets anyway, so whatever. But at the same time, when you watch that, I very much get the sense that Bulma's supposed to be American.
Like a white American girl.
I think she's a caricature of an American. Yeah. Because it's 1984. She has a haircut, a hairdo that's very American 80s. She has blue hair, which I think it's a thing of like, it's a cartoon.
Right.
But also, I think it's supposed to be blonde. Like, it's a cartoon version of, say, a blonde haircut, right? They're like, oh, it's blue
Eventually,
hair.
They kind of go all in with the blue, though.
Yeah. But she's got the pigtail on the side of her head, which was the most American 80s hairdo there was at the time. When she meets Goku, she pulls out a gun, like a regular gun, not a futuristic cool whatever,
like a pistol,
like a regular fucking pistol. Yeah, like a one from today, and starts shooting Goku, no questions asked. And when I see this, I'm like, look, I don't know what it was like back in the 80s because I was a baby, but at the same time, or not alive. At the same time, I feel like this is a caricature that they did of an American ignorant, obsessed with like TV drama.
Yeah,
because that's what the character of Bulma is. She's not this super strong, independent woman that Emmy Rossum did. She's already American, so cast an American. Emmy Rossum, I don't think it's whitewashing at all. Her character's fucking American.
Yeah.
Right? And then Goku's an alien. So
those are kind of the only 2 white characters in the movie, right?
Piccolo's played by an American.
Well,
but he's an alien too.
He's also an alien, so yeah.
Fucking whatever.
He's played by the guy that played one of the vampires in Buffy.
Yep.
Spike.
James Marsters or something.
James Marsters, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's when it's like that, again, the story is supposed to be that way. And I think they said, well, let's cast basically everyone else Asian, and they did. Chi-Chi's Asian, and Chi-Chi looks Asian in the cartoon. Yeah. I think she's supposed to be like straight Japanese, you know? And Yamcha, they casted him Asian, and that's maybe debatable. What he's supposed to be. He just looks like a person. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard. Yeah. It's hard to tell, but like they're like, all right, when in doubt, let's go with Asian. Master Roshi and Gohan, who are the martial arts like masters, that makes sense.
They got Chow Yun-Fat.
They got Chow Yun-Fat, and the other one.
Why did he agree to do this movie?
That's a good question. Probably some money. He's like a Hong Kong superstar. And then the director is Asian too. So
you can make cases for whitewashing in a few things. This movie isn't one of them. Still not going to defend this movie. It's shitty, but you can't get upset at this movie for whitewashing or anything like that. I don't think that's a problem here. Yeah. So other things, I feel like this film has no stakes because everyone seems to have the power to do the thing that they need to do when they need to do it. Like, Master Roshi's like, oh, I have the Kamehameha wave. I'm just going to bring him back to life. Okay. Goku can see the future when he holds a Dragon Ball. Okay. Like, when he wants to just beat the guy, he just does. You know, in the anime, because the plot told him.
Exactly, that's my point. Not enough people died. We talked about this. Like, the stakes, they don't feel like they're there. And then when you have the plot device to bring people back to life, you should have killed everybody. You should have at least killed more people, because then there would be more tension, right?
And you still have your cop out with the Dragon Balls.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At one point, Yamcha decides to like sacrifice himself. In a matter of minutes, he turns into a completely different character. Now, in the source material, he does become a good guy. And he's very reliable, and he goes through a whole character development. I don't know. He has character development, is what I'm saying. That took years, multiple seasons. You know, not a couple minutes. Now he's the best guy or whatever.
Yeah.
But my point is, kill him. Why not kill him? He wants to sacrifice himself. Okay, let him. He gets murdered. You get to bring him back anyway. At least you create 1 minute of like drama.
Yeah, you can get an awkward exchange between him and Goku. He's like, sorry, I killed you, man.
Sure, yeah.
Get a little gag out of it, because there's no humor in this movie, like, at all.
No, it's not fun.
It's like a boring road trip movie.
Yeah, someplace in the middle can be kind of fun. Again, they tease a were-ape the whole movie, and then when it finally happens, he's just like an inch taller than Goku.
Yeah, like, he's still, like, human-sized.
Yeah, and he doesn't do that much. He just chokes Master Roshi. Just to be clear, in the anime, when he sees the full moon, he turns into like a King Kong sized monster. He's like 100 feet tall, and he starts destroying everything in his path.
It's implied he accidentally killed his grandfather.
Exactly.
All this, yeah.
Like, these Saiyans, when they turn into like giant apes, they're huge, they're unstoppable, they destroy everything. That's what I think a lot of people were like, all right, well, at least we've got that coming up. And then he's like 6 feet tall.
I think there's a point in near the start of Z where Vegeta turns into the giant ape. And I think his armor grows with him.
Yeah, but that's special armor, though. I don't know if you remember.
I don't remember.
It's stretchy armor. That's how they put it on. They stretch it.
It's stretchy.
It's designed for Saiyans. This reminds me a lot of Justice League, where it tries to do a lot, but it's edited so fast that it just nothing lands. You know?
Yeah.
The overall pacing is so fast that you want to make a romantic tension between Goku and Chi-Chi. Not enough time, even though they had the most screen time. Yeah. You want to make another one with Bulma and Yamcha. Not enough time.
Not enough time. It was one scene.
Yeah. You want some more tension with Gohan and Goku. Just not enough time. There's not enough time for anything. There's definitely not enough time to develop the villain. Piccolo has so little screen time that we're just like, oh, he's the bad guy. Why? Because that's what bad guys do. Because they destroy stuff. That's why. No explanation. And like to your point, they never explain where he came from, how he escaped, or what his motivations are. And then when we analyze the plot, his motivations don't make any sense. So, okay. I don't know why. His hair gets extra spiky towards the end, and it looks really bad.
Is it because like they're trying to make him look more
like... They're
trying to
do Goku hair, which is so stupid. Because I remember when this was getting made, people were like, oh, how are they going to do the hair? They're not. Because that's a fucking drawing.
Because
that's
you can't
why.
do hair like that without it looking stupid.
Yeah, that's a drawing. So you have to think, what would this look like in real life? Oh, he has big, bushy hair.
And there was sort of a gag at the beginning of the movie before he goes to the party. He puts on hair gel, and then his hair just rejects the gel.
Yeah, and it just stays the way it is. In fairness, similar things happen in the show where they cut his hair and it just grows back. Yeah. And it looks identical. They try to comb it back, it just goes
I think the idea is that he just has like unruly hair.
Yeah. But it doesn't literally have to look like spikes and stuff. The only reason they sort of get away with it is because it's the year 2009 and everyone has big spiky hair at the time. That's it.
Not as much as early 2000s, but yeah, a little bit still at this time.
You know what I'm saying? He doesn't look that out of place for most of the movie. It's only in the third act when they put his gi on.
Then he looks weird.
They spiked it with more gel at that point and he looks really weird.
They made it look, they went too far.
They went too far. That's why it looks like that in the poster.
Yeah. But throughout the movie, his hair was fine. Even when he was like upset that his hair like rejected the gel and like shot it out, like his hair looked fine.
Yeah.
He looked like a regular cool kid, which I don't get why he was getting bullied.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Yeah, he has too cool hair to be bullied. Let's be for real. So I think that's all I got on analysis. Yeah. What about you?
About the same.
Keep or cancel. We're doing keep or cancel. This is a segment of the show where we go through people in the movie and we decide if we're going to keep them or we're going to cancel them. That's mostly it, right? You ready? Yeah. Who do you want to do first? Do you want to do... I've got here Justin Chatwin, Emmy Rossum. Is it Rossum?
I don't know if it's Rossum or Rossum. I've never heard her last name said.
Me neither. I'm going to assume it's Rossum.
It's spoken.
And Chow Yun-Fat.
We could just start from the top with Justin Chatwin.
Okay, let's see. Justin Chatwin, he was started with Josie and the Pussycats.
The old one? Or
no, the one from the 2000s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. A funny movie in premise, but then it kind of falls apart. I watched it a few months ago, by the way.
Most things based on Archie comics kind of end up like that.
Okay, yeah, fair. But they went like pretty crazy with the premise. I like it for the most part, but yeah, it kind of like starts derailing.
I think if it's the one I'm thinking of, I liked it when I was younger.
Yeah. And then Super Babies, Baby Geniuses 2, which is widely considered like one of the worst movies ever made.
I think I saw the first one when I was actually a kid.
I think I've seen them both.
I don't think I've seen the second one. He just plays a small part in there.
I have no idea. I want to say Super Babies 2, because there was Baby Geniuses, and then the sequel, I think, is Super Babies, Baby Geniuses 2, where they're like super spies on top of already being like smart babies.
And it's like just babies crawling around with like being voiced over. Mm-hmm. Weird concept for a movie.
I come from a small town, so I like as a kid see movies by myself. Like my mom would put me in the theater and then leave for... an hour and a half and then come back and get me. And
you would just watch movies?
I just watch movies like by myself at like 8 years old. And I want to say Super Babies, Baby Geniuses 2 was one of those.
Okay.
War of the Worlds.
The Tom Cruise one?
He's the Tom Cruise kid.
Shit.
With the baseball hat.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise is like, why don't you like me? And Justin Chatwin's like, because you're shit dad and you're a shit person. That's why.
Shit dad.
I don't remember that movie very well. I remember not liking it.
I think a lot of people didn't like it.
And I remember the criticism that like it's nowhere near as good as the original. It's just kind of like a CGI fest.
Yeah.
And then has a recurring role in Shameless.
That's probably what he's most famous for, is his role in Shameless.
So you've seen Shameless, right? No,
yeah.
I have not.
I like his character in it. A lot of people are kind of mixed on his character. Like there's people that love his character and people that hate it.
Okay.
But I think he does a good job in it. Much better than he did in this movie.
Fair. Shameless is the one with William H. Macy. Yep.
Yes.
Thank you.
William H. Macy, yeah. And it's funny seeing him in that show because he usually plays like a stand-up guy in a lot of his movies.
Yeah.
And
he's like fucked in this show,
He's
right?
an absolute piece of shit in this show. He plays it really well. All the seasons except the last one are on Netflix if you wanted to start watching that. Yeah.
Oh.
It's pretty good, like drama/comedy show.
I might try. I've heard good things. He was in an episode of Lost. That's kind of one thing I remember him from. One of the flashback parts. So not a reoccurring role. He just had like a one-off.
Oh, okay. So he's not on the island. He was like in the path.
He was in a flashback. He was one of Locke's flashbacks.
Okay.
Yeah. Good show. I love that show. He's in an upcoming movie called Die in a Gunfight, which is a Romeo and Juliet adaptation.
Die in a Gunfight?
Yeah. It's like another modern twist on Romeo and Juliet, of which we've had a million.
Right.
Most famously, like the one from '95, which is with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay, yeah.
You ever see that one?
Trying to remember. Was it just called Romeo and Juliet?
It's just called Romeo and Juliet, yeah.
Okay. I haven't seen that, but I know what you're talking about.
So overall, it just seems like a I don't know how to put this nicely because I'm not an actor, but just kind of like a middling, like.
Yeah, no, like he's not like a. He's not a superstar or anything like that.
It doesn't look like he's gonna like take off anytime soon.
No, he just acts.
Just fine.
Yeah,
I guess.
Not every actor is Robert Downey Jr.
Sure. If he had not been like the headliner of this movie, I'd be like, I don't even want to talk about him. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what do you say really about him? It seems like he's kind of like just on the fence for me of like,
right, like he's not
keep or cancel. It's like right there. Like, do I want to see more of this kid? Man, a little older than me, probably. Like,
you're like, maybe I'm cool with him, but I only really know him from Shameless, and I was always really hoping his character would come back. So I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing more of him, but maybe a better role. He's not a starring role kind of guy. I'll give you that. So I'll keep him. He's cool.
I'm like neither. Like, I don't care.
Just insignificant.
So sure, let's go keep. Let's just move on. Emmy Rossum, also a lead in Shameless.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. And the love interest of Justin Chatwin for a little bit.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
She's like one of the main characters. She's like the older sister of the family, like just kind of keeping the family together.
Okay.
It's like the older sister, but kind of plays the role of mom. She does great in that show. I know the first thing I ever saw her in was in a Disney Channel original movie when I was a kid.
What movie?
I think it's just called Genius. It was about like some really smart kid. Basically, she is the girl that he kind of falls for at the school that he goes to.
Okay.
I've loved her ever since I was a kid.
Okay. She was in Mystic River. She did some like earlier acting, like some child stuff. Have you seen Mystic River?
I have not.
One of my favorite movies.
Oh, really?
Oh my god, it's so good. It's by Clint Eastwood.
Oh, he
Am I thinking about the right movie? I am thinking about the right movie, but I don't think this is like one of my favorite movies actually.
He was in it or he directed it?
He directed it.
Oh, okay.
I need to rewatch this actually. It stars like three friends. Like three childhood friends that like went through some shit when they were younger, and then they grow up and they're kind of like fucked because of it.
Oh,
and then one of them, it's Kevin Bacon, Sean Penn, and Tim Robbins. And then one of them is like suspected of committing a crime, and the other one's like the detective. It's a whole thing. It's really good.
It sounds interesting.
Yeah. And then Phantom of the Opera, that was kind of like her big breakthrough role.
Yeah, she has a really good voice.
So after Phantom of the Opera, she was like offered like record deals, and so she like has a couple like.
So she's
albums.
like, all right.
She has a minor singing career.
Okay. Does she do any theater stuff? I feel like.
Why are you asking me questions? I'm not writing it.
I don't know.
I don't see any theater. I see film and TV.
When it comes to Shameless, she eventually she fought to get better pay on Shameless and was like got the support of even like William H. Macy, so she was like on like equal pay with him on that show.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Which is kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
I also know she was in The Day After Tomorrow with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. I didn't write that down because I'm like, that movie sucks.
Not a good movie, but
not good. So seems like a good actor that just
wasn't given anything to do really,
and could have done maybe a lot better with a better role for Bulma. But I think she might be one of the better casted actors in this. You know what I'm saying? Like actor against role.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think she kind of matches that role a little bit better.
Yeah. And I'm definitely keeping her because I love her. I've always loved her.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep. I've got stronger opinions for her. And then Chow Yun-Fat.
Who's probably was he the top billed actor in this movie?
He probably should be.
He should be because I think he's the most popular and most seasoned one.
Yeah, he's the second richest actor in Hong Kong.
Okay.
He is worth around $700 million. American. By the way. Not Hong Kong.
Holy
American.
Shit.
So a lot of money.
Yeah.
Let me verify that because that sounds like a lot.
That sounds like almost too much.
Yeah, 5.6 billion Hong Kong dollars.
Damn.
That translates to 714 million US dollars.
He's got a lot of money.
He's got almost $750 million.
He didn't need to do this movie.
No, absolutely not. But he's got like 95 film credits. Like he's an actor. Like he likes doing this. He is a frequent actor for John Woo, and together they pioneered the genre of heroic bloodshed, which is like Chinese crime action, and also colloquially gung fu. So it's the two-handed pistol gun.
Oh, so like akimbo wielding, just
bang, 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 bang.
Okay, a lot of John Woo stuff is
yeah.
That's really fun action stuff to watch.
Sure, yeah, and they made. I lost count. I started counting like how many movies they made together.
A shit ton.
Mostly Hong Kong movies, like A Better Tomorrow, City on Fire, The Killer. City on Fire is part of the inspiration for Reservoir Dogs, which is like one of the first movies that Tarantino made.
Okay.
Moved to Hollywood, but little success. Like, couldn't really replicate the same kind of like action. Again, like people want different things, like different people.
Right. Those type of movies aren't made too often here in the States.
Yeah, exactly. So didn't have a whole lot of success until Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but that's obviously kind of like an outlier in terms of like big Western, Eastern style.
Yeah, that movie became very popular.
Yeah. And then also Bulletproof Monk. Have you seen that movie?
I have.
Is it good?
I enjoyed it, yeah.
Okay. And then he was the pirate captain Sao Feng in Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End.
All right.
But he was omitted from the Chinese release.
Because he's from Hong Kong.
No, because they thought that the pirate captain was too...
Oh.
It was just not, like, respectful enough to, like, Chinese culture and didn't make them look good, and they're super fickle about what they allow. Yeah, he was badass.
He's Chinese, like, they're not allowed to look cool. All right.
Yeah. More recently, he was in a movie called The Monkey King, which is also based on Journey to the West. It was the same thing this movie is based on, Dragon Ball. And also, yeah, what you're alluding to, he supports the Umbrella Movement, which is like the civil rights movement for universal suffrage of Hong Kong.
Which is a huge problem right now.
Right, exactly. It's their... Well, at the time, it was more just kind of like... Because this was back in 2014. It's just kind of their voting rights, the right to be heard.
Right.
When it comes to like their own decisions, when it comes to China. And now they're fighting more for like independence.
Yeah.
Which they're not getting.
No, and... I hope things get better over there.
Sure. So really, like I said, other than, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Pirates of the Caribbean, and this, haven't really seen a lot of Chow Yun-Fat. I didn't really watch a lot of John Woo movies, growing up or anything like that. So just from what I see here, I'm like, yeah, dude, this guy's awesome.
Yeah, he's kind of badass.
Yeah, super badass. I'm kind of curious as like how much his action career is going to continue.
He's getting old.
Like his age now. Yeah. It reminded me, there was a soundbite or an article with Liam Neeson, who was like...
Who does like any film role.
Well, basically he was, his agent said, here's another action movie. He goes, do they know how old I am? Are they serious right now? Like, he's been doing like action roles for like the better part of 20 years now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, super keep.
Oh yeah, definitely. He might be the most badass person in this movie. And it's like I was saying before, like the cast for this movie, I don't know if I said this before actually, but I was thinking it. The cast for this movie is not bad, but the movie is fucking terrible.
Yeah. It's a lot of, what more could the cast have done? You know? So, all right. That pretty much covers it for Keep or Cancel. Final thoughts, Phantom Zone on Dragon Ball Evolution.
This movie is pretty much all around awful.
Yeah.
Like, there was a couple things I liked about it, but nowhere near enough to give this any sort of saving grace.
Mm-hmm.
Phantom Zone for me, definitely. Like, there's just... This movie didn't need to exist. I'm a little upset that it exists.
Yeah.
And it's not fun. It's a boring movie.
Yep.
Just like Elektra. Like, it was just boring to watch.
Yep.
I'm not sure if this is worse than Elektra or not. They're very close for me.
I think this is pretty bad. I don't think this is the worst one, but I think it's pretty bad. Yeah, I don't like this movie at all. There was 3 things I liked. I thought the gi looked good. Yeah. Then again, it's a costume that's based on a real thing. So how hard is it to like nail? You know what I mean?
All you had to do is make a real gi.
It's not like they're doing a Captain America or an Iron Man or anything like that. This movie doesn't need to exist because I don't think you can adapt Dragon Ball. And that's a new thought I'm having now. Like I said earlier, I thought surely there's a way to adapt anything. And now the more I think about it, I'm like, can you actually adapt this? Or should you? Okay. That's the other thing. Should you adapt this without robbing it of what makes it great? We talk a lot about Avatar because we're huge Avatar fans. Do you think you can make an Avatar movie? Honestly.
Movie? No.
Series? Yes.
Yes.
Because it's a long story.
If you're going to do a movie, it'd have to be like just a new story. You can't take book 1 and turn it into a movie. That's not ever going to happen in a way that's good.
Yeah. Because
we've already seen it done.
Exactly. It's just too much content. This tried to take 5 seasons of a TV show and just cram it into an hour 20. That is not only impossible, it's irresponsible and it's disrespectful to the source material. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you took it to Pawn Stars and they're like, best I can do is give you an hour 20 with just the worst thing ever. You know what I mean?
All right, I'll do it.
I feel like you almost could make a movie here if you did it either Pilaf, he sucks. If you do just like Red Ribbon Army and then made another one with Piccolo and you said, okay, 2 Dragon Ball movies. Now we're going to make maybe like 3 Dragon Ball Z movies.
Especially since the Red Ribbon Army and Piccolo kind of bleed over into Dragon Ball Z also, those plot points at least.
Yeah, exactly. You would have a lot there. And this is coming out around the same time as like towards the end of Harry Potter, right? And Harry
Close
Potter,
to it, yeah.
Here's the thing about Harry Potter too. I should have mentioned this earlier, but whatever. Final thoughts. At first, they wanted to make one movie that encapsulated 4 books.
That would
I don't know if you know
awful.
this.
I did not know that.
Because they're like, what are we going to do? Make 7 movies? Yes, you
First
are.
off, do you know how much money that would be?
Exactly. They didn't realize that at the time. They're like, all right, can you compact 4 books into one movie?
Why would you ever do
And everyone involved was like, absolutely not. Let's just do the first book. If you like it, then we'll make more.
Yeah.
Right? But my point is, they had so much material set up for them. They had 7 books that they could milk out into 7 hugely...
And they wanted to rush it.
Right. Hugely, like, profitable films that ended up being 8 and now some spin-off stuff, right? With the Beasts or whatever.
Which was based on a reference book.
Exactly. So when you look at the most successful manga and anime of all time, and you say, can we just make 2 movies here? Just make one Dragon Ball and one Dragon Ball Z movie? Like, what are you doing?
You're thinking too small.
It's too small. Too small.
What's that Invincible meme? Think, Mark,
think. Like, you could make 5 movies on Dragon Ball. 8 movies on Dragon Ball Z. There's so much material
them good
here.
Movies, people will watch them.
Obviously,
and you'll make money.
There's a huge fan base here. Now, I keep going back to the same point. I don't think you can make this a movie. But if you tried, you could.
Maybe if you made it a series of movies? Sure.
I think TV series is where it's at. But look,
I think there's just better storytelling.
But why try to skip 5 seasons of a great TV show into one movie? That's a mistake from the beginning. And they should have thought more about what Lord of the Rings did, what Harry Potter did, is that milk out these books for all they're worth. It's a slight to anyone who's ever liked Dragon Ball. It is a slap in the face. They ignored all the source material in order to adapt other things. Like we said, there's fragments of Spider-Man, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars even, Avatar. There's so many other things that they're trying to incorporate while ignoring the biggest source material ever, Dragon Ball.
The one that it's based on.
You had such good material to work with. Again, the only things I liked about this movie, it got silly for a minute, which is good. Futuristic aspects. That one costume was nice. Everything else blows.
Yeah. It's like basically costumes were good, props were good. That's about it. And there was one silly scene.
I liked when they hold the Dragon Ball. It's kind of cloudy and the stars move. I thought that was interesting.
The Dragon Balls look cool.
I thought that was a good live action interpretation of the Dragon Balls. That's it. Everything else sucks. So this is in the Phantom Zone. This was horrible for me.
Yeah.
Didn't like it at all. So that's it. Berto, what are we watching next week?
We don't know yet.
Surprise me. What do you...
Just pick a movie? Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Last I saw it was available on Netflix.
Not available. No, it's on Netflix. It's on Netflix right now. Hell yeah. Okay, so that's on Netflix. We're going to do that next week. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Thanks to that piano dude for a musical intro. Guys, make sure you leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and whatever other podcast app you can do ratings and review. That probably helps us. Algorithms, right?
Yeah.
Please make sure to tell a friend. And if you have told a friend, thank you so much for telling that friend. Berto, you told a friend. Did you tell him or did you show up?
He probably saw it on my Instagram because he was like, wow, I didn't know you do a podcast. I was like, yeah, I do. And he's like, cool.
Sweet. And he popped in for a minute. Guys, by the way, we're referring to someone on Twitch. We record all these episodes live. So you can come with us on Twitch on most Monday nights recording this show. And you can be a part of it. You have an opinion you want to throw at us?
Here's your story.
Shut up.
Why are you touching it?
I don't know.
If you want to be a part of the show, you want to comment on stuff and be in the actual episode maybe, then hey, come hang out with us on Twitch. Give us your opinions on Dragon Ball, on Scott Pilgrim, and all these episodes are also available on YouTube after the fact. After they're nice and recorded and they're done, they're on YouTube if that's how you like to listen to podcasts. That's
just remember, it's not an actual video. It's just the audio with like a still image.
Exactly.
It'd be like just listening to a podcast on YouTube.
Just a podcast.
Yeah.
You can find us on Instagram at Films from the Phantom Zone, and you can find us on Twitter at Films from PZ. If you want to argue with us, if you are yelling at your phone right now at some stupid shit we said, hey, hold us accountable on Twitter.
If you think the movie is whitewashing, let us know.
And if you like the show and you want to support it, hey, you can subscribe on Patreon. We're on Patreon, Films from PZ. There's nothing there right now. We're figuring that out. But, stuff costs money. So if that's out of the goodness of your own heart, you want to help us out, and that's where you would do that. That's kind of it, right?
Yeah, that's.
You got nothing?
I got nothing else to add to that.
Okay, cool. So I've been Arnaldo. I've got Berto here with me. We will come back next week with Scott Pilgrim versus the World on Netflix, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, guys.